From New York City's racetrack, Aqueduct. This is America's Day at the Races. Horses on their way over. As always, coverage brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. On this final Saturday of the year, alongside Sarah El Badwi, I'm Lafitte Pinkai. Haven't seen you since Breeders' Cup, I believe. Great to be on set with you. Exciting Saturday of thoroughbred racing, final Saturday of the year. What are you looking forward to most?
Of course, it's the cross-country Pick 5 coming up in just a few short moments. We have racing from here as well as Oaklawn. Those are really fun to get involved with. And we also have our Pick 6 with a double carryover well underway and two huge prizes to get the job done in the first two legs. So if you're still alive, wishing you good luck and possibly a triple carryover.
And what would be a mandatory payout?
Yes,
tomorrow
absolutely.
For the New Year's Eve coverage right here at the Big A. So yeah, we have a lot to get to, and the late pick 4 is on tap here at Aqueduct. Getting started with race number 6. Here's the field. Solid allowance event, $90,000 purse. Mile and an eighth. Number 1 Overstep, 9-5 morning line favorite. Odds on now at 4-5. Sarah, this was his latest, December 2nd, right here in the mud. And Overstep, he was odds on that afternoon, 4-5. He winds up running third, but maybe we can give him an excuse, maybe a little rusty. What do you think?
I think you can give him two excuses, really. I mean, he's a horse that we hadn't seen since earlier this year when he ran in February, finishing behind ahead of Ouster, who was in great form at that time. And this was a day when he returned to the races on December 2nd, where you really needed to be towards the inside of the racetrack and showing early speed to have the best chance to win. He didn't really do either of those things, so I feel as though he was a horse that was perhaps against it in a couple of ways and ran well despite that.
Overstep, lots to like, high-profile connections. If you are playing this late pick 4, are you comfortable with just Overstep, or are there others that you would want to include?
I might throw Suerte into the mix as well, a horse from Mike Maker who has cutting back in distance a little bit. And he's one that has more of that recency edge. He's been running at this level for a little while. He doesn't always get the job done, but he's been very consistent against some good horses as of late.
Late pick 4 from Aqueduct gets started. Race number 6 here in about 14 minutes. Today's races brought to you by Claiborne Farm. We just touched on the 6th. Race 7, Aqueduct starts the cross-country. Pick 5, enter Oaklawn Racing. On-site coverage, you'll see races 4 through 10. Featured event, race 9, the Poinsettia Stakes. And as exciting as it is to watch all this terrific thoroughbred racing, even more exciting to watch and wager. Sign up, Naira Bets, and when you do so, use that promo code MATCH200, earn up to a $200 deposit match after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NairaBets.com to earn your $200 deposit match. Live look at the favorite Overstep. When we return, you see horses in the paddock. Overstep, serious contender, the New York bred, burned some money in his latest. How will he respond this afternoon? We'll find out in about 9 minutes. You're watching America's Day at the Races, just getting started on Fox Sports 2.
American Oaks.
4K to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Thanks for spending part of your New Year's weekend with us. This is America's Day at the Races, as always, brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years doing the usual, unusually well. Temperature in the low 40s here in South Ozone Park. Horses in the paddock gearing up for the late pick 4. Updated odds for this allowance race, mile and an eighth, and you're looking at the favorite in Overstep at 4 to 5. World-class connections trained by Todd Pletcher, Kendrick Carmouche. And speaking of world-class connections, Sarah, leading contender to be ridden by leading rider Manny Franco in those familiar Klarman colors for trainer Chad Brown.
Yeah, certainly connections that we're all very, very familiar with, and a horse that's taken quite a bit of money in most of his races, only not the favorite on debut and when he was running second to Film Star. So you know that he's well-intentioned from the beginning.
The most likely to upset Overstep, should Overstep be upset?
I would say it's Suerte.
Suerte, you like,
I'm not
that's right.
totally sold on leading contender. I think that he did have a significant stumble last time, but overall, I'm just not totally sure his level of ability. I know that at Keeneland, he was running behind a horse who did come back to fare pretty well, but at a short price, I'd rather go with just Overstep and a better price on Suerte.
Suerte, number 3, 4 to 1, leading contender, second choice, 9 to 5. Riders up. You hear the call to post. For this allowance race, mile and an eighth, $90,000 person. There is the favorite in Overstep, and Kendrick Carmouche takes over. He's won on him before.
He has, and this is a horse that finally gets to put some races back to back, as we haven't seen him on the racetrack much, but when we have, he's been good.
American Law enters with momentum, easy win 4 weeks ago. Sarah says, look out for Suerte.
He's just been consistent over his last couple of races at levels similar to this, and it has a little bit less ground to work with.
It means luck, Sarah, in case you were
Oh, thank you. I had
wondering.
no idea.
Leading contender, dangerous, second choice, 2 to 1. Manny Franco, leading rider aboard.
A barn you must always respect, and he did have some legitimate trouble last time.
Napa Valley, not a Calbred outsider.
Has won his last 2, but this is a much tougher field than he's been facing as of late.
Scratch, just call Ray. Hold the Salsa is in, pictured on paper, overmatched against these.
I'd say so. He's a horse that can show some early speed. I like him a little bit better on the grass, but he did earn a high buyer speed figure for his last effort.
Late pick 4 starts here. Post time 4 minutes. Getting the starting gate in place. Maybe you're just joining us. Want to play the races? Don't have past performances? Equibase has you covered. Watch all today's races. Get those free past performances from Equibase. Visit NYRA.com/TV schedule to download your free PPs on all the races on today's show. As we welcome Maggie Wolfendale to the broadcast, our eyes and ears trackside. Maggie, welcome to the show. What can you tell us about this crew? What are you noticing?
Well, I think we have to start with your favorite, Lafitte, as he's trying to do something he's never done before. That's number 1, Overstep, but there's a lot of good things going for him, namely his trainer, Todd Pletcher, and that Todd is just one of those trainers that you can almost rely on with certainty that his horses are going to respond when you throw more distance and ground their way. And looking at Overstep, he doesn't seem to look to be compromised despite being a son of Intimission, who relatively you think a lot of those kind of one-turn mile types of horses. But he's relaxed. This is second off the bench. And while he looked fit last time, he was also against the track, which was favoring inside runners. And furthermore, this is only the second time he's going to compete over a route distance over a fast track. And the last time we saw him doing that was his best figure to date back here in February. He looks to lead here from that inside post position, and I have no problems as your current even money favorite. But your second choice, number 4 in here, leading contender, I think the thing I like about him most is the rider getting on his back for the first time in Manny Franco. Watching this guy, he really, truly represents that quote-unquote bicycle horse, one that you have to stay after a long ways out to elicit the best results from him. And Manny Franco is one of the best in the game at doing that. Manny's stamina is endless, it seems, and he just really gets on with these horses that need to be told what to do to keep going. Now, he's very much that gun runner that looks a lot like his grandsire in a Candy Ride, which I'm not. I actually prefer the gun runners that look more like him, but that's probably neither here nor there. He looks good overall, but like I said, I think Manny Franco adds maybe an element that this guy has been missing. And then the longest shot on the board, why am I talking about number 5, Napa Valley? Mainly because I think he poses a threat to the maybe proposed walk in the park that Overstep might look to get on paper with the stretch out. In that Napa Valley, he's shown speed in his last, but he's very sharp coming in here. And I'm wondering what they do with him with the 5-pound apprentice aboard. And look, he is a horse that has won 3 of his last 4 at a far inferior fields, but he physically actually fits well with this group. He's a good-looking son of Flatter out of a Dubawi mare. So, there's pedigree to say that he should look like this. Lafitte, I'm just talking about him namely because I think he poses a pace question mark in this field.
Would go a long way in that potential 3-day pick 6 carryover, the way the sequence has started thus far. Napa Valley at 34-1. All kinds of characters on today's broadcast. Jonathan Kinchins joining us from Saratoga. JK, like I've told you this before, I don't like it when I come to New York and you're not here in person. We've discussed this, you know this, and yet, like, here we are again, man.
Look, I'm in New York, and if you're dedicated to this relationship between you and I working, you'll get on the train, come up, hang out tonight, take the train back tomorrow to work. If you don't do that, then you're the problem in the relationship, not me. I like the one Overstep quite a bit in here. If you look at the last race, this horse came in off of 286 days prior to the last start. Now, so in that situation, I was a believer in Overstep last time off the layoff. It's not like Todd needs to necessarily give them one first time out. But I will say that Overstep kind of ran like a horse that might have actually needed one. And he got that race. It was a sloppy racetrack. Now he gets a fast racetrack today. I think we'll see more of what we saw from him early this year at Aqueduct with some of those bigger numbers that he had in those 2 allowance races than what we saw last time. And to be fair, his last effort might actually still be good enough to win this race. I like Overstep quite a bit here. I think the even money is actually pretty square.
So you're all on Overstep. Pictured, even money, Kendrick, Carmouche. What are we looking for early on here in terms of race shape, Sarah?
I don't think that he absolutely needs to be on the lead, but I expect that he will be forward in here. And if nobody else is trying to contest the pace, he should be the one to go on with it. I know Maggie mentioned a possibility that the number 5, Napa Valley, may try to assert some pace pressure. And I think if so, he can sit just off of it if necessary. So I expect him to be forward and get a good trip towards the inside.
She also mentioned the distance, first time tackling 1 1/8 for Overstep. There's the outsider in Napa Valley moving into line. 3rd leg of this pick 6, start of the late pick 4. Chris Griffin standing by. Post-time race 6, Aqueduct live on Fox Sports 2.
Napa Valley and Hold the Salsa. Last to load to the outside. Here's Hold the Salsa. And in. All set. And they're off. Broken a very even line. Overstep shows early speed. They line up, though. American Law wants a piece of the action. There's Suerte, who's going to join them. Is going to be 2 wide here as Overstep will take back. Tightly bunched there, 3, 4, 5 wide as tucking in behind leaders now as leading contender is back to 4th, now 5th, as moving up on the outside is Napa Valley and Hold the Salsa. 4 across the racetrack here. It's a leading quartet. American Law is at the rail. There's the gray Suerte with a nose in front as they work towards the backstretch. There's plenty of pace pressure on. Then Napa Valley is 3 wide, 4 wide is Hold the Salsa. Leading contender gets the right journey, is tucked right in behind the leaders now, is in 5th, is 2 off the lead, and the trailer is Overstep. 23.44 for the opening quarter mile, but it was pressured, and Suerte's got the lead, is now a half length, now 3/4 of a length in front of American Law, who loses some ground. There's the big long shot, Napa Valley, who comes with the other long shot and Hold the Salsa. They're out in the center of the racetrack. Leading contender, Manny Franco, just looking for a way to go, is maybe going to tip towards the outside here, is right in behind that trio. The leader is still Suerte, and there's now leading contender, is going to go 4 wide, is now passing those rivals quickly with sights set on Suerte, who's in front. 46-3 the half-mile time. Overstep is trying to get going, but is still 5 off the lead. It's Suerte who's in front. Leading Contender is getting closer and closer. They went 1:11 flat for 3/4 of a mile. Can Suerte gut this out as they approach the quarter pole? And here's Leading Contender who gets the cue. Overstep still with a lot of ground to make up on the top 2, and Suerte is not going away. It's Leading Contender who's trying to push on by. Suerte is very game, but now Leading Contender just edging clear inside the final furlong. It's Leading Contender who's up by a full length, a 16th to go. Leading Contender got the right trip, and Leading Contender will cruise and gear down for the victory. It's Leading Contender who gets it over that game. Suerte, Overstep, and American Law in 1 minute 49.32 seconds.
Leading rider, padding his stats, Manny Franco. Aboard Leading Contender, Seth Klarman winning owner, Chad Brown. Big effort from Suerte, who you like going in, Sarah. Overstep in deep water, rounding the far turn.
Yeah, I mean, he was a horse that we predicted to be a little bit more forwardly placed, but once everybody was really intent on showing some speed and they did all line up for that position, I think that Kendrick made the right choice in taking back. Once he did so, however, it's not as though he was able to really get his feet under him and rally from off the pace. And Suerte, he is very game. He will keep trying, but they went quick, and Leading Contender just sat the right kind of trip.
Franco, so active, physical, and aggressive in the saddle.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could tell at the top of the stretch, too, we were talking about how he looks back, making sure he knows where his main rival is before he fully asks his horse. And just a good fit for this one, like Maggie suggested, and able to get it done here.
Nobody was coming. He put away Suerte and rolls to victory. 4-3-1-2. Leading Contender, second choice, strikes in the 6th. Kick off the late pick 4 at Aqueduct. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie. McKenzie in a dominant performance.
200 right there. 1,200,000. 25, 550. Mitchell, 550,000.
And now 500. And 500,000. Thank you.
450, 75. 475,000.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
They say breed the best of the best and hope for the best.
Macoma broke well on the outside.
But you don't expect to get speed like this.
It is Macoma, the one to catch. Macoma has a 5-length lead in this grade 1 quarter. Macoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Macoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Live look Oaklawn Park that you're playing on your Naira Bets account. America's Day at the Races is always brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get started. First look at Oaklawn racing on the afternoon. The 4th, those are $40,000 maiden claimers, all winless, all for sale. 3/4 of a mile sprint. Scratch number 9, Tap Your Heart. Number 4, Gucci Boy, 6-5. The current favorite, as promised. We have boots on the ground at Oaklawn Park. Paula Duca, Richie Migliori standing by. Guys, like we know the racing's always going to be good, but also understand they know how to put on a pretty good New Year's party in Hot Springs.
Yeah, it was a great day of racing. Yesterday, it was bombs after bombs, $180,000 early pick 5, $108,000 late pick 5 yesterday. And we just had a $50 horse win the last race, Mick. But we got a great card today. We got the Poinsettia and the return of Skelly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good allowance race. Horses returning. A horse that I'm interested in there has a race under his belt. And you and I, Paul, have been talking about this. We think it's very important. Horses have to have a certain fitness level. This has been a pretty demanding track early on in this Oaklawn meeting.
Yeah, it has been. It's been tough handicapping as you see the field right now. About 3 minutes to this race. And this race actually looks kind of formful. I mean, the public is on the 3 and 4 in here. The 3 Lundberg and the 4 Gucci Boy come out of the same race. You know, Gucci Boy is a horse that did break his maiden but got disqualified, so he's still technically a maiden.
Yeah, he already has the roadmap to the winner's circle, though, something that nobody else can boast about going into this race. Lundberg's interesting to me because he has a bit more speed, but it absolutely looks like this race goes between them. If I was going to look at a first-time starter, Paul, I might look a little bit at the 5 Light Horse Harry, out of a mare that was bred by Claiborne Farm, a war front mare, and I thought this horse had kind of an interesting work tab.
Yeah, the other horse in here, and we congratulated him yesterday with his 4,000th win, was Luis Canones. He's on the 6th safe bet. A horse that at least has run second a couple times, does have a third, and like you said, has recency.
Recency, and you know, we talk about fitness level. I think it's really important to look at that when you're handicapping the races here at Oaklawn. And this horse is taking a drop in class. Now, he was running maiden allowance at Remington Park. Now he's in for maiden 40. That's a significant drop.
Yeah, it is a drop in class. It is. I mean, and Joe Pedalino's very, very sharp. But listen, the Fleury Racing Stable is going for the title. Cipriano Contreras has been on fire. I think the 4 is going to be very tough in here. And there's nothing against Ron Moquette right now. Just missed the bob yesterday to get off the duck. This is going to be one of his better chances today, I would think.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We were watching the horses go by, and we were looking at the 3 Lundberg, and, you know, just kind of a thick, solid kind of horse. I was kind of hoping Rafael Bejarano was going to leave the pony and let him really kind of get a good, strong gallop in, but he stayed with the pony. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more of an animated warm-up. Quick Joe Padalino story. He was assisting to Jack Bamberg to ship the horse in. I was supposed to warm her up about 1.5 miles. It was about 10 below zero that morning at Aqueduct. I broke off and went the first time. I just disregarded their instructions. We won the stake anyway.
Mig disregarding the instructions? Lafitte, that never happens. No.
Jockeys never take matters into their own hands. Sarah, we know this. You watch this sport enough, you'll know that to be true.
Of course, they always listen to every single instruction provided. Sometimes when the trainers are walking all the way out to the track with them and giving them the instructions, every single detail to a T.
Every single one. As a handicapper, do you get a little bit shell shock when you have days like this, trends like this, where it's just like horses that are winning that don't make sense on paper? When you have these string of long shots and upsets, is that playing a factor in how you handicap the next race, or do you just treat the next race as an isolated event that has nothing to do with what happened 25 minutes ago?
Well, I think it's different when you are making selections ahead of time because you're kind of locked into what you already saw on paper before you start seeing the trends unfold in terms of prices, or if there's some sort of track bias or a situation that might alter your decision making if you're deciding on the fly or in that moment. For example, with the races at Oaklawn happening earlier today, I didn't handicap those ahead of time. So who knows if I would have had any interest in any of those prices or not? Probably not. But I don't feel as though it's a situation that you can allow to ruin the rest of your day or get too overly confident on the other hand as well.
So in this case, did you see this is a 2-horse race? Lundberg, number 3 at 9-5, and Gucci Boy, who is favored, even money?
They certainly come in with the best buyer speed figures of anybody else in the group, and they ran 2-3 last time out, and both kind of stepped up their numbers. It's funny, both of them have actually crossed the wire first and been disqualified, so they at least know how to find the wire in front at some point in their careers. I think the number 6 safe bet is a little bit interesting if you want somebody else at a price. A horse who debuted for a tag, but then since has run versus Maiden Special Weight Company and is running consistent numbers and might be able to fit here, has hit the board in all 3 starts.
Exciting day of racing at Oaklawn. Love that shot in the gate. Horses and riders moving into line. We still have the poinsettia, the feature a little bit later on. The Pick 5 gets started in the 6th and races 8, 9, and 10, part of the cross-country Pick 5. First things first, post time, race 4. Here's Matt Dinnerman.
Here's Sharp Stick. We're ready to go. Looks like they're straightening out Lundberg. Now we're ready. And they're off. Lundberg broke beautifully today and goes right to the lead, takes advantage of the good break. Safe bet, Light Horse Harry right together, coming up to challenge Lundberg, who's on top by just a nose. Here's Safe Bet to turn up the heat. Light Horse Harry, the gray horse, between that pair. A length and a half to another trio. Violent River racing inside of Darvish, and a 3-deep Gucci Boy on the course. A space of 2.5 more to the two trailers at the back of the field together. Sharp Stick Bourbon on fire. Approaching the forward turn run, Lundberg and Safe Bet, these two contending as they round the forward turn, and they put 4 lengths on Darvish. Sent along from third, so is Gucci Boy. Violent River couldn't keep up. He's done. Light Horse Harry has lost significant ground. The others have got to get going as they hit the quarter pole. Lundberg, a nose in front. Sharp Bet right there. Gucci Boy gets a giddy-up reminder, but he's moving forward. 2.5 behind, swings to the outside for the final 3/16. Lundberg, Safe Bet. Gucci Boy leveling off, still has 2 lengths to gain, though, in the final furlong. Lundberg holds on grittily to the lead. Safe Bet back in second. Gucci Boy third. It's Lundberg for the Ron Moquette barn. Lundberg and Rafael Bejarano, gate to wire. Gucci Boy was second. Safe Bet third. Darvish checks in fourth.
And Lundberg gets the job done here. Gate to wire as your slight favorite here, about $1,000 at 6-5 in the key MIG. This is a horse that's had some gate troubles, and Matt Dinnerman mentioned it right out of the gate. This horse broke sharp today.
Broke sharp, set up shop, but he took a lot of heat from the 6 Safe Bet, was able to fend that one off and then hold off the late rally from Gucci Boy, who looked like he was just spinning his wheels around the far turn. When he got out in the clear, he kind of leveled off. I thought for a moment there, the 6-horse Safe Bet, who you and I kind of had a little bit of a fancy to, was going to upset the apple cart, but he tired chasing, and Lundberg gets it done. And a pumped-up Rafael Bejarano past the wire.
Yeah, and a pumped-up Chance Moquette right in front of me right now, as the Moquette barn had a bad bob yesterday, but they get the job done here with Lundberg, Lafitte, 6-5, a little normalcy here at Oaklawn Park.
Wasn't he the boss in Office Space? Lundberg?
You said it's before my time. I don't know.
There's a line. There's a line that comes to mind. Lundberg at Oaklawn Park. Results forthcoming very shortly. Meantime, here at Aqueduct, race 7 is next and starts the cross-country pick 5. Allowance, extended sprint, fillies and mares. There's the field. Updated odds. Scratch the first half of the entry. Red Pepper Grill. Number 4, Roman God is the favorite at 5-2. That's the first leg. The rest of the sequence, leg 2, we stay right here. Race 8, Aqueduct. It's about an hour break. Then it's all Oaklawn. Races 8, 9, and 10 all get started. Cross-country pick 5 in about 13 minutes. Sarah, how'd you tackle this one today?
This is an exciting sequence. I don't think there's any particular lean that you can fully trust, though some might be looking at Oaklawn for some of those shorter prices to lean on, particularly Skelly. But I have a $64 ticket, and I'm spread here in both of our races at Aqueduct. I don't feel as though there's anyone you can confidently lean on for our races, at least. Heading over to Oaklawn Park, Skelly, as I mentioned, is probably a horse that many will be relying on, but he's coming off a little bit of a layoff, so I took a horse with recency. Will be coming from off the pace with Necker Island as well. 2 deep in the next race, trying to beat the favorites in that Poinsettia Stakes, and then 2 horses to close things out. A horse that's riding a win streak of 2 races on dirt, as well as a horse coming off a little bit of a layoff in Pate.
You're on record. Best of luck,
That's
Sarah. A $64 investment. Jonathan Kinchin is with us. JK, your approach and strategy, your ticket for today's cross-country pick 5.
Yeah, look, I thought it was a tough sequence. I usually don't like to hit the all button. I usually try to look for other wagers if something requires me to hit the all button. But with this cross-country pick 5, I do like some of the other sequences, the other races, excuse me. So I'm going to get started here with the all button. I feel like all these horses look the same. In the second leg, 1, 2, 7, 8. The 1, Fortune's Nephew. The 2, The Institute. The 7, Agility. The 8, Icy Flavor. In leg 3, I'm going to single the 4, Skelly. I thought he was one of the best sprinters in the country last year, or earlier in the year. I still feel the same way. In the 4th leg, I'm going to use the 1 and the 4, the 1 high class and the 4, Margot in a bubble bath, and then I'm going to wrap it up with a single with the 3 Always Angels. Not exactly going to be a short price single, but I do believe this horse is going to be extremely live. If you can get alive to the 3 and you like some other horses, maybe you can do some games, do a little hedging there. But to keep the ticket cost down, I decided to go ahead and go with the 3 Always Angels as my single at the end.
There you have it. Might be the best $40 you ever spent. Good luck, JK, and everyone playing this cross-country Pick 5 on Naira Bets. I'll get started in just a few moments with the horses arriving in the paddock for this 7th race. Down to Maggie standing by with this race 7 paddock report. Maggie.
And Lafitte, I'll take a look at 2 horses that I don't particularly like on paper, but that caught my eye in the paddock, and maybe you can kind of pick through their form and say, well, maybe they do make a little bit of sense in this spot, which I feel is kind of a bit of a wide open affair. I get Roman Goddess, don't get me wrong. I think she should be favored in here, but I thought there were a lot of other horses that you could kind of say, well, yeah, they make a bit of sense. Now, number 3, Irish Jackson, purely on figures, looks far too slow to be a legitimate contender, but Connections off the long layoff chose to protect her, run her for the waiver. She runs a valiant second behind another drop down in Divine Cross that day, and now she's back relatively, from the month break, pairing these races back to back, and she's in a starter allowance. So it gives you the impression that she's been training well, that they don't want to lose her. She looks fantastic. I thought she looked fit coming off the bench, and she kind of ran the way that I thought she would in May, and she looks even more defined here in the paddock. So I think she's just a little bit intriguing for the fact that they continuously choose to protect her, as we'll take a look at number 5 as well, Bella Principessa. Now, the bulk of her better races have come on the turf, arguably. But last time, she, like many of these in here, exit that December 8th race, which was wired by Bonadou. And she was kind of attending the pace, just kind of in the mix there as she was stretching out in distance to the mile. And she'll cut back to the 7, which I actually like for her. And 2 back, she was bumped soundly at the start and never really got in position. So she finally looks a little bit more fit and defined and just solid overall, which I thought she was lacking in several of her starts coming back off that May to October layoff. So she seems confident. She's striding out well here in the paddock. So again, Lafitte, some price horses that are making good impressions in the paddock.
Looks the part, some positive vibes. Bella Principessa, 7-1, 9 minutes out to the start of this cross-country Pick 5. Aqueduct and Oaklawn, where we just saw a fired-up Rafael Bejarano take down this 4th race. And Lundberg entering the winner's circle for trainer Ron Moquette graduates in his 9th career start. It started to get dicey, but Lundberg digging deep and finding more.
Yeah, a horse that did take some pressure, as we mentioned, from Safe Bet, and he didn't really want to have that punch to go by, and then was picked up for 2nd. But it was the 2 horses that looked the best on paper coming in, the 2 shortest prices, and they do run 1-2.
3, 4, 6, Triton Thoroughbreds LLC, the Moquettes, son of Uncle Mo, Lundberg, Rafael Bejarano, graduating 440 for your would-be $2 investment. That's race 4, Oaklawn. Aqueduct, live look here. We'll have riders up in a post parade in a moment. Screen right, there is Linda Rice coming right down to the wire. I feel like it's Saratoga all over again. Sarah with the battle for the training title with she and Chad Brown. She is 1 win shy of equaling the all-time mark at New York Racing Association tracks for victories in a single year.
It's pretty incredible that we have today as well as tomorrow, and she has plenty of live horses left going into the rest of today and tomorrow's card, so it's certainly well within the realm of possibility that she'll be able to surpass that record and claim it for herself. I don't know if we'll see the same dramatic fashion in the very, very last race as we did at Saratoga when she was able to tie the meet with trainer Chad Brown, but certainly very exciting and someone that should be very proud of their accomplishments. 2023, a year Linda Rice won't forget anytime soon. As for the filly she trains, Roman Goddess, this was her last win. It's 4 starts back right here
mid-September, Sarah. Like, this is what Roman Goddess can do when she controls the tempo.
And this was a day that I think that being the speed and being towards the inside was also advantageous. She was in for a $40,000 claiming tag, and what was her last start for the Mike Maker barn claimed out of this race, and then stepped up to face some starter allowance company. And it's gradually improved her Beyer speed figure a little bit to get back to that realm of the 69 that she ran that day, running very competitively against tougher horses. So I think that all of that is leading to what you're seeing as far as her favoritism right now, as well as the early speed that she does possess.
Jose Lezcano rode a winner earlier for Linda Rice. Roman Goddess, those 3 straight third-place finishes at the level. And, yeah, there just hasn't been any punch in the stretch. When she needs to find another gear in her most recent races, it just hasn't been there.
I agree. I think she should be facing some decent horses overall, but you're absolutely right. I mean, she has been forward and hasn't been able to seal the deal. We'll see what happens today, though. One of those races was at a mile, so perhaps a little bit far for her, and then the 7 furlongs 2 back. But last time, getting back to the 6 furlongs, a higher number than she's ever run before behind some decent horses in Icy Reply, as well as she's awesome.
Co-owns and trains does Linda Rice. Roman Goddess, we mentioned Lezcano, the win today. They struck with Cunchen Bridge yesterday afternoon. A formidable team this fall meet at Aqueduct, which wraps up tomorrow, even though we're in winter.
Seasons, whatever. It's the end of the year.
Way too literal.
It's really bothering you.
I'm way too literal. It's a problem.
It's going to be okay, I promise.
I told you, my emotional support human. Sarah
Not
El Badri, who is leaving, by the way, at some point during the broadcast.
You'll have to have Chris Griffin sub in.
Talk about versatile, multi-talented.
Here to support you and everything.
I need it. I need a lot of it. You hear the call to post and a post parade. And we start with Duck Fat here, 6-1 for trainer Robbie Davis. Ruben Silvera rides.
She's run well in her last 2 starts to finish 3rd, even a 2nd before that. Always comes from far off the pace.
Mowley, last 4 starts, first or last, Ricky Bobby, and then Irish Jackson, the lightly raced 4-year-old filly.
She did finish 2nd to a horse who did just win the other day in Divine Cross, but does need to get a little bit faster on her Beyer speed figures.
Potential record-setting moment for Linda Rice. Roman Goddess, the favorite at 5-2.
She could tie the record here if this horse is able to get the job done as your favorite.
Record equaling, yes, I should say. Number 5, Bella Principessa. Maggie liked what she saw. Winless in 8 tries this year.
Huge price last time out and finished 3rd after being a part of the pace at 35-1.
Vax and Jackie Davis takes over.
A horse that has been in the Linda Rice barn before, now going out for Oscar Barrera.
My Girl Jowl. She will surprise you from time to time.
Exits the same race as Roman Goddess was no factor that day, but 3 starts ago, 4 attacks, she ran well to win.
And then Chasing Daylight at 4-1 needs a cleaner break this afternoon.
She was compromised at the beginning last time and tired late, so maybe you excuse that effort and you want her coming out of that race.
Le Grotte, number 9 for Tom Morley. Trevor McCarthy, 2 wins yesterday.
Yeah, I had tweeted that Trevor was on mounts that were out running their odds, and then he won the next 2 races, so I manifested it into existence.
See that? His emotional support human as well. Trevor McCarthy on Le Grotte towards the outside. Competitive 7th race. The cross-country pick 5 starts here. Who did you wind up with?
I'm spreading here. I used number 4, 5, 8, and 9, and Jonathan used them all.
So, that kind of race.
One way or another, he's going to get past this leg, hopefully with someone at a price for him.
That kind of race. JK, so yeah, we know who you used on your ticket. Everyone, take us a little bit deeper and diving in some of the keys to the 7th race at Aqueduct.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea that I use the all button is an indication that I don't have a strong opinion in this race. But I think that there is a lesson to be learned that if you're looking at a race and you don't have a strong opinion, you're not supposed to look to the favorite or lean on the favorite. You know, because if you felt like the 3 favorites in this race were extremely live, then you probably could get away with just using those 3. In some sort of a pick, and that's just not the case here. I'm going to take a look at the 5 Bella Principessa, who I thought ran pretty well last time. I like to look at Timeform US for some of my speed figures. Obviously, Beyer, the kind of the grandfather of speed figures, but Timeform US, another speed figure that I like to use that has a little bit more of a pace-infused value to it. Bella Principessa had a nice figure last time, a fast figure last time. Now, There hasn't been any horses that have run out of that race, which is something I like to look at to kind of test the number. If there is a number that's a little bit higher than you might expect, I think one of the ways that you can figure out if it's a real number or not is seeing other horses run out of that effort. But I haven't seen that yet, so there's really no way to know if that race was fast or not. But at 6-1, I've got no problem figuring it out here. Now, if this horse is 2-1, I wouldn't want to be figuring it out at 2-1. But at 6-1, I don't have much of a choice but to give Bella Principessa a little bit of a chance. Mags?
I'm with you. I actually pivoted to her as well in here, JK, because she just made the best overall impression, and it's good to hear you saying that you like her on form as well. Her happy, positive overall disposition on the track, spilled over from the paddock too. So I'm going to take her and give her a shot in here, as I do want to talk about this second choice currently. That is number 8, Chasing Daylight. She broke slowly last time. Now, I wasn't in the paddock for the November 16th race in which she won and had the blinkers on. I'm assuming she won with the extension blinker like she wore last time, like she's wearing again today, but sometimes it does lead to those tardy starts. And overall, she just lacked energy from the paddock to the racetrack. And I get that she had trouble last time, which makes her appealing to bank on the fact that with a better trip, she would have finished better. I just didn't like her overall appearance today, so we'll see what she does, as we'll get to the inside runner in Mally for Dave Duggan, whose horses have been running really well throughout this fall, and they look it too. They look sensational. Each and every one he brings over just exudes well-being, and that's what I'm getting from Mally, who, if you pick through her form, there's reason to believe that maybe her last race was a step in the right direction. It's certainly a step up in class, but at least the figure matches up here, and it was a dominant performance. And over a trip today at the 7 furlongs, I think she could handle a feat.
It's Ricky Bobby first or last. Her last 4 races, Sarah. It's a win at 7-1, runs last at 11-1, runs last at 9-1, a win at 5-1. What will Mally do today, drawn inside?
I mean, I think that this is a horse that you have to imagine wants to be forwardly placed, and I just don't know if she ends up being as clear on the lead as she was last time with the presence of Roman Goddess. And as Maggie mentioned, she is facing much tougher company, but maybe you could argue that she's had less opportunities to sprint on dirt throughout her career.
Chasing Daylight, number 8. Watch her from the start. Maggie didn't love what she saw. Dull getting out of the blocks in her latest. Never really had a chance. So watch what she does leaving the gate. Number 8, Chasing Daylight, the second choice with Dylan Davis aboard. Davis, who had to settle for a second-place finish in the 6th race. We're all set. The cross-country pick 5 starts here. Race 7, Aqueduct. It's post time. Here's Chris Griffin.
Grot goes in. All set. And they're off. LeGrot breaks well from the far outside, also does Chasing Daylight, who's going to be in behind LeGrot. Does LeGrot from the outside draw is going to cross over and get in front of the field. Irish Jackson is going to be second. Down at the rail, here comes Mally, who wants to hold that position as they try to slow down the tempo up front. Bella Principessa starts to move forward, is bringing backs with her, and they're going to be 3-4 wide here as they work up the backstretch. My Girl Jow is in that second grouping, is towards the back end here, and moving forward with Chasing Daylight. The trailer is Duck Fat, tightly bunched on the front end. LeGrot had the lead, but in between horses, here comes Bella Principessa. Vax is a big long shot up alongside on the outside. Dylan Davis and Chasing Daylight, they're going to be 4 wide, right in behind the leaders. Luis Rivera Jr. Mally, with nowhere to go, is in the 5th spot under a very tight hold, just looking for a seam. Roman Goddess is now called upon for the effort. My Girl Jow, Duck Fat tries to rally from the back of the field with Irish Jackson. 46-3 for that half-mile time. At the rail, it's LeGrot. In between horses, Bella Principessa. 3 wide here is Chasing Daylight. Will Mally find the room? And the red cap is going to tip towards the outside. Gets off the rail. Now 4 wide. They reach a final furlong here. As they approach that furlong, it's now Chasing Daylight who's taken the front. Mally has got clear running room, but now 3 lengths off the leader. Chasing Daylight, who's opening up here in the late stages. It's Chasing Daylight, still 3 in front. Mally has run up into second. It's a scramble on for the Miners as Chasing Daylight is your victor. Chasing Daylight over Mally, Bella Principessa. There's My Girl Jowl in a photo with Duck Fat in 1 minute 24 and 3.
Broke better today And she wins today. Does Chasing Daylight for Rudy Rodriguez, co-owner, trainer Dylan Davis, the winning rider. Mally with a laundry list of excuses exiting this one. Bang up second place finish.
Absolutely, and I had the 3 horses that were in front at this time on my ticket, and I was saying to you, don't leave the rail open because she's going to win if she gets through. I ran very well despite that trouble and having to sit behind horses on that step up in class. And the Duggan barn has just been going so strong as of late, really bringing horses fit and ready to roll regardless of what level of competition they've been in. But Chasing Daylight able to get the win here, cleaner break as you mentioned, not quite the pace scenario we imagined up front. Trevor McCarthy very aggressive towards the outside with LeGros, but she's had a nice trip and ended up being your winner.
Chasing Daylight, who's now won 3 of her last 4, a legitimate excuse in her most recent. Getting out of the blocks poorly here. Dylan Davis going to work. Chasing Daylight responds, puts the crop away, wins going away. But for Mally, who got shuffled on the backstretch and lost a few lengths, shuffled back. Some more issues on the turn, bottled up with nowhere to go. Finally angled out into the clear, and still to put in that sort of effort. Big effort from Mally to complete the exact at 14-1.
100%. She had never run against competition like this on the dirt, and she had trouble early on as well. A horse that wanted to be forwardly placed, and once Trevor crossed over, her lane was taken, so she really did have to sit and wait the entire way around.
8-2-5, Bella Principessa, 5-1 completing the trifecta. 8-2-5-7. Any excuses for the favorite? Anything with Roman Goddess that you saw?
No, maybe she needs to be on the lead to be successful, but other than that, she was pretty disappointing overall.
Results coming up. Aqueduct, 8-2-5-7 here, Oaklawn. $12,500 maiden claimers, good size field, state school smart 9-5. Holly and Richie on site, guys. Who graduates here?
Thanks. Yeah, right. Yeah, this is actually a tricky race, and make it. This has got a condition. Sometimes you got to read the conditions of the race.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, right? So if you're an Arkansas bred, you're in for a maiden claiming $20,000 tag. If you're an open horse or a few Kentucky breds, you're in for $12,500. But also here at Oaklawn Park, if you've had a horse coming off a layoff, you're allowed to protect them twice. So the 4-horse Singing Groom, who does have a race in December off a layoff, is protected again. And I really think this horse ran well. He ran behind State School Smart, and listen, I love that name. I wasn't elementary school smart, but I just think that horse could take a step forward, and I think it's interesting that they protect this horse again, and I like that they have that clause here in Arkansas because it incentivizes people to do the right thing by their horses. Give them the time, and you know that someone's not going to claim them, and you did all the heavy lifting, and then they get the reward.
Yeah, I mean, the 4 is the other, or excuse me, the 5 is the other horse that is not in for a tag for Tom Swearington. As you're seeing the post parade through the 3 Preacher's Kid going through. A horse that is getting bet a little bit, a first-time starter in here for Greg Compton. The 4 is going through. When you look at this race, you know, a giant scratch of the 11 Memes, who is probably going to be a heavy favorite in here.
Yeah, last night when I was looking at this race, I thought, well, everybody's got to beat this horse. He was scratched, opened it up. Look, State School Smart makes a lot of sense. I prefer the 4 Singing Groom. Also, yesterday, we saw a horse pay a huge price dropping into a maiden claiming race, shipping from out of town, and that kind of fits the bill of the 10. Great barrier, short leaf stable, Jada and Anthony here at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, a horse that's first time gelding for Johnny Ortiz and dropping in class. I think the next horse, Motown Collection, got dead left last time, the 8 here, and was basically 2-1 and did not run a step. I think it's going to run a little bit better today, maybe at 13-1.
Yeah, and listen, if yesterday was any barometer, we've just seen bombs here. And I think it's a matter of people deciphering how form from all these other jurisdictions are going to play out here.
Yeah, you know, yesterday, obviously, it was a little bit, it was chillier, and it seemed like you were able to launch from way behind. Now, I think the best 2 horses obviously ran first and second in the last race, but we've seen a couple gate-to-wire winners. I wonder if the track will tighten up a little bit more towards speed. And there is the 13, Dario, on the complete outside. Another horse that exited the Kenny McPeak barn has some back numbers that could be a player in here, 0-for-7 lifetime. But the 2 State School Smart, we both agree, and you made a good point. The 2 and the 4 come out of the same race, but the 4 was coming off a longer layoff.
Longer layoff. thought he ran well. Think he could take a step forward with that race under his belt. And I like the vote of confidence from his connections by protecting this horse once again. And you're getting 4-1 as opposed to 3-2.
So Lafitte, you know, we both think the 2's going to be the horse to catch by far and the horse to beat. We like the 4, and I think the 8's the long shot in here, Lafitte, but the Asmussen barn right now leading in the standings might be tough in here.
Yeah, what else is new at Oaklawn Park? Steve Asmussen holds just about every record there is to hold at Oaklawn and 12 overall training titles over the years. And here with a state school smart 8-5, and they mentioned the significance of the scratch of memes. Sarah, really changing the complexion of the race. I
agree completely. I think that you deal with a more open betting board. Of course, a pretty heavy favorite now in your number 2 horse for the Asmussen Barn State School Smart. And I guess more upside than just a lot of others in this field, having only the 3 races, only one in for a claiming tag, and was off a little bit of a freshening last time out. Broke very sharply last time, set the pace in there, and just got run down in a race that a couple of these exit. So makes a lot of sense as your current favorite now by default with that scratch.
You wound up with?
I actually like the 10 a little bit, a horse that was a huge price on the morning line that just seemed like we were never going to get. And Shortleaf Stable, they want to win races at this meet. They can be very aggressive with where they spot their horses because they want to win the owner's title. The John Ortiz barn does have a win so far at the meet off of the Duck there. So I like that he's already had some success so far and just been facing tougher horses in the 2 starts. Hasn't done much running, but maybe the drop in class will wake this one up.
Those colors, its association with Oaklawn over the years. John Ed Anthony, the all-time leading owner. Oaklawn Park, the only owner to have won each of the 3-year-old prep races leading up to the Kentucky Derby, the Smarty Jones Southwest, Rebel, and Arkansas Derby. The horses he's campaigned over the years, Demons Be Gone and Prairie Bayou and Pine Bluff. And Oaklawn wouldn't feel like Oaklawn without seeing those colors on a consistent basis.
Absolutely. They had a lot in opening day as well. I think they had 5 horses on the card. So they aim for this meet. They bring their horses fit and ready to go. And so sometimes you'll see a drop in class like this because that's what they're there for. They're there to win races.
Great barrier at 8-1. And these races, that melting pot effect, it's not the same horses facing each other over and over and over again. When they're coming in from different parts of the country, when you offer the kind of money that we have at Oaklawn Park, that's where it makes it a little bit trickier as far as evaluating form, because what a horse does at Fairgrounds and a horse does at Churchill or someone coming in from New York, I think it makes for a more challenging handicapping endeavor, and you have results like some of those we've seen over the last couple of days.
You're absolutely right, and I think that's why the betting challenge of Saratoga is what it is, because you do have those horses coming in from the Kentucky circuit. You do have trainers willing to ship from all over to be a part of that meet, and Oaklawn is fairly similar. You have people willing to come from all over the place to be a part of the very lucrative program for all levels of racing that they have available. So certainly not quite as like knowing a circuit to a T and seeing the same horses every couple of weeks.
It was a handful of racing days. They went over $1 million just in claims at Oaklawn Park. It's an average of 900,000 a day. The 3-year-old preps purses have been inflated. I think last year they gave away over $7 million just for Arkansas-bred races. And this is the result. These bigger fields, competitive races, though the handicappers have zeroed in on State School Smart, leaning on Steve Asmussen. Son Keith in the saddle, 3-2 at post time. All set for the 5th from Oaklawn. It's post time. Here's Matt Dinnerman.
Motown Collection. The Gray Seeing Groom. Mr. Commander. Dalton's Retro. Great Barrier. Lucky Supernova. 2 back, Scrimshire. And to the outside, Dario. Here comes Dario. Dario goes in. We're ready to go. Laroff. Dario on the far outside broke sharply, isn't quick enough to get to the front. Dancing Rocket is, though. Between them is Mr. Commander, and Mr. Commander flies out there to grab the lead. Mr. Commander, a clear leader, getting to the rail, leads by a touch more than a length. Dancing Rocket right behind him on his heels in second. Great Barrier in the third spot with Scrimshire. State School Smart was on the lead last time out. Today, he's between horses, dropping back significantly. State School Smart being passed by a number of runners, a wall of them, in fact. One of them is Preacher's Kid into that far turn. Dario's also there. Great Barriers losing position as they round that turn, and State School Smart being eased up out of it as they round the far turn. Mr. Commander is the leader here around that turn. Tries to seal the deal approaching the quarter pole. Dancing Rocket has come under pressure in second. Dalton's Retro is making a run on the outside. Dalton's Retro off the turn, challenging Mr. Commander in the final furlong. Dancing Rocket right behind. Great Barrier not going to get it done in fourth. Mr. Commander and Martine Schwann re-break. Open up two. Dancing Rocket second, and third Dalton's Retro, and then Great Barrier. Mr. Commander to win it by 2 lengths. Dancing Rocket was second. Dalton's Retro third. Great Barrier fourth.
Well, the money was right. 15-1 on the morning line for Mr. Commander, and Martine Schwann took no prisoners from the beginning of this race.
This horse exploded out of the starting gate. He used his speed. This is a rider we talked about earlier this meeting. I said I wasn't that familiar with him. Well, he's starting to really turn some heads.
Yeah.
He's winning at a good percentage here. And this horse really finished. 12th time was the charm, Paul.
Yeah, and a heady ride here by Kylie Jordan on the one, who sat just on the rail, just chilly the whole time. In the 5-horse, the horse that we talked about for Tom Swearington that was protected, loomed up, the layoff just got to him a little bit. But I thought Kylie gave the one a great ride here to run second at 33-1.
Yeah, absolutely. Saving ground, staying calm, being in the pocket. State School Smart was a big disappointment. Essentially, he was eased. Looked like he encountered some traffic on the backstretch. He's jogging by us now. He looks fine. Just looks like maybe he didn't handle that kickback very well.
Yeah, as soon as he did not get to the front end, he really backed up, didn't, like you said, didn't want any of that dirt in his face. But it looks like the 9 gets it done here. Mr. Commander from 15-1 down to 4-1. 9-1 at 33-1 here, Lafitte. And we closed out with the 5 and the 10, who did run on a little bit late. So a nice little superfecta. So you get a 4-1 shot here to end your early pick 5.
Favorite faded. Mr. Commander did not, who had been spinning his wheels of late. 15-1 morning line. Barry King, winning owner, winning trainer. Mr. Commander breaks through, graduates in his 12th career start. Results when we come back, plus the second leg of the cross-country pick 5 at Aqueduct. We're watching America's Day at the Races.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
New Year's weekend in New York City, winding down 2023 at Aqueduct Racetrack. As always, our coverage brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track anywhere, anytime. Visit NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get started. Hopefully you bet chasing daylight on your Naira Bets account. We had no such issues, Sarah. Getting out of the gate. Rolls today, impressive win, and for Mally, a frustrating second-place finish.
Definitely a bet back. You won't get 14-1 on her next time. Had a very traffic-troubled trip throughout the race, but Chasing Daylight prevails with a better start, as you mentioned.
At least the racing gets easier here from a handicapping perspective. Field for the 8th. New York Bred Allowance Sprint, very competitive. And you're looking at Fortune's Nephew. Over to Maggie, standing by with this race 8 paddock report. Maggie, Fortune's Nephew, what are you seeing from this quick, lightly raced 4-year-old gelding?
And Lafitte, I think he's lightly raced because he's such a big fellow. And sometimes when you're that big, you have a little bit of trouble staying on the racetrack. And that's exactly what we've seen from Fortune's Nephew. But he was able to put it all together and get the win off the bench for the 3rd time. But now he's finally pairing races up back to back. And he is quick. He's going to have to do it from the inside now, whereas he's been drawn outside in his 3 efforts to date. But he looks fantastic coming back in here. If anything, I thought he looked a bit heavy in that last effort, and he's certainly tightened up for it. Now, I thought Sarah brought up a good point in our earlier show in that coming into that comeback race, he was working really quickly, throwing bullets left, right, and center, and since then, he has slowed things down quite a bit. It could be interpreted as a negative, absolutely, or the other side of the coin is that they're just maintenance breezes. Once you have a horse fit enough, he gets that race back. Now you just keep them ticking over. So he looks fantastic here in the paddock for Bruce Levine. As we'll check in with another one of those 4 to 5 to 1 shots that are taking money coming in from Penn National is number 4, Trelad. You can totally forgive him for his last race, the stakes, off Lasix that day, back to a sprint distance this time around. A horse that does present himself as a somewhat nervous type, is wearing a hood today with those 3/4 cup blinkers, and it got a little bit warm. Otherwise, fits nicely with this crew, and certainly one that can be forwardly placed. As we'll check out number 7 in here, Agility. He was a late scratch up at Saratoga on September 3rd. Since then, he's been gelded, and he's one that I've noted hadn't moved that well behind. Gonna watch him in the warm-ups here, Lafitte, but with the gelding, it's definitely lightened him up significantly. Always a horse that seemed to carry excess conditioning, and that is not the case this time around.
Yeah, one of 9 who could win this 8th race at Aqueduct. Second leg of the cross-country pick 5. Post-parade, Fortune's Nephew, a big boy, quick, 9-2 drawn inside.
And the inside speed today, as he will have some pace company towards the outside, particularly with Icy Flavor.
The Institute 5-time winner, all at Finger Lakes.
Winner last time out, was able to get a win of his own, finished 2nd behind Trelad a couple starts ago.
Beach Boy Al, 4-time winner, all at Finger Lakes.
Another Finger Lakes shipper. It's a theme that will continue here. He also won his last race.
Trelad, as you heard Maggie mention, not the best start in that chocolate town at Penn National.
No, and that was also going a mile. He just doesn't want to go that far, and he had some trouble at the gate 2 back as well.
Kaz Sugarbank, 4 wins this year, all at Penn National.
Yeah, we have quite the national flavor going on in this race.
Sharp As, representing speed.
Was able to get the win last time out for a $30,000 tag, and now steps up in company.
Another look at Agility, revving his engines. Idle since opening weekend Saratoga.
He has races to go back to that fit very nicely here, and you know he likes to come from off the pace, but he has 6 seconds, only the 1 win.
Icy Flavor, second in 3 straight, co-favored 4-1.
Has the speed and ran an 82 buyer last time out, finishing 2nd behind the returning My Man Matty.
Number 9, Bourbon's Hope, is 2nd in his last pair.
He's been outrunning his odds a little bit. This is just a much tougher spot than he's been facing so far.
Prince of Truth, finally. Lady Sheila Stable, homebred. Her mother, La Verdad. He's not as fast as his mother.
Not quite. Not yet. Seems to be going in the right direction. Still very lightly raced, but I just kind of wonder what the actual level of ability is, and feel like this is a horse that's getting bet on what you think they might be, not what they've shown you so far.
Very competitive. 8th race, post time, 4 minutes. Second leg of the cross country, pick 5. JK, what'd you come up with?
Yeah, I'm going to go down to the rail with Fortune's Nephew. One of the things about a rail draw is there's certain times I dislike it. Young horses, horses that don't have a lot of speed. I think that there's a lot more that can go wrong down there than can go right. But when you have a horse that does have some speed and you get a rider like Kendrick Carmouche, I think sometimes the rail can be an advantageous draw, and that's what I think happened with Fortune's Nephew. If you look through Fortune's Nephew's past performances, right, the debut ran well enough that day, first time out for Bruce Levine, who's only a 10% trainer first time out, so the fact the horse ran second and ran well, I think shows a lot about the talent. They come back going 6.5, show some speed early, and still ran well enough. And then had some time off until the last start. Going 7 furlongs, showed some nice early speed. The pace figure suggested that the pace was honest enough. The race tried to fall apart behind Fortune's Nephew, but Fortune's Nephew hung on. Now you get the cut back to the 6 furlongs after showing all that speed going 7. I think Kendrick's going to have the confidence and the stamina to send Fortune's Nephew away from the inside, get the shortest way around there, saving every step of ground, and then advance that position in the stretch. I like Fortune's Nephew the most in this race, but like you remember from the cross-country pick 5, not against horses like the 2, the Institute, but I do think the 1, Fortune's Nephew, makes the most sense.
Carmouche breaking from the rail in 3 of the last 4 races today at Aqueduct. The big gelding, Fortune's Nephew on the inside at 4-1. Sarah, what are you expecting?
I expect that he'll be forward. I mean, I said that about another horse from the rail a couple starts ago, and I was completely wrong because everybody wanted to be forward. But he has shown speed in all of his races so far, and it's just nice to see a horse that has been heavily bet in all 3 races and finally be able to put some races back to back, because I'm sure this is a frustrating situation. You know that you have a horse with some talent and ability, and they just haven't been able to show it on the racetrack as of yet.
Fortune's Nephew, 4-1. Maggie, what about Sharp As and the speed he brings to the party, number 6 at 14-1?
Right. He makes the job of Fortune's Nephew a bit more difficult in here, Lafitte. Now, Sharp As, he does not look as fast on paper as many of these. You know, he still has some improving to do to be a legitimate contender, but at the end of the day, he is a big price out there. But you know, the Dave Duggan trend of horses that look exceptional continues here with Sharp As. Now, he was listed as a vet scratch back on December 7th in a starter allowance. So we'll see what he brings to the table here. But again, he just continues to improve with each subsequent start. Again, we'll have to definitely improve to be a part of this one, though. As number 2, the Institute, we'll see what he does here. His Finger Lakes form is far superior than his Naira form. So is he a horse that just prefers the going up there? I will say he has improved physically now as a 4-year-old. Last time I saw him was a late 3-year-old last year. He's filled out finally, just looks as though he's maturing nicely. I still don't trust him completely to bring that form here to Aqueduct. But again, he's a generous 8-1. But Lafitte, at the end of the day, as they load, they don't know who to necessarily bet in this one.
Deep, competitive, and it's post time. Chris Griffin with the call. Race 8 live, Aqueduct.
Kaz Sugarbank and Prince of Truth. Prince of Truth goes in. All set. And they're off. Icy Flavor with early speed towards the outside, and here comes Sharp Ass to join this leader in a pace duel on the front end, and they move quickly up top. Agility is going to settle just off of them, is tracking in third, and then Fortune's Nephew is in the fourth spot at the rail. Following them is Bourbon's Hope out in the center of the racetrack, is patiently ridden here from fifth. Following them, the Institute is now in sixth. Outwider Prince of Truth is going to be in that seventh position with at the rail Trelad. Towards the back end of the field is Kaz Sugarbank with the trailer. That's Beach Boy Al. 22-1 for the opening quarter mile, and it was pressured. Sharp As has still got the lead. Here comes Icy Flavor back for more, and Icy Flavor's put a nose in front. Agility was just off those pace setters. The Institute, Trevor McCarthy, has got some run, is tipping towards the outside. They are tightly bunched here as they reach the top of the stretch. It's still Icy Flavor in front, Agility, and now the Institute straightens up and coming after the leaders as well. Fortune's Nephew is on the scene late as well. It is Icy Flavor trying to fend them off, but here comes the Institute. The Institute has taken the lead. It's the Institute now up by a length and a half. The Institute, Trevor McCarthy, they get the score. Icy Flavor second, then Fortune's Nephew. Kaz Sugarbank followed by Agility in 1 minute 10 and 3.
Those 5 wins coming in, all at Finger Lakes. This time, strikes at Aqueduct does the Institute at 8-1. Trevor McCarthy, the beat goes on for him.
I know, he's been having a great weekend so far, able to bring that success from yesterday into today, and is a rider that I had pointed out was on a lot of long shots, able to give them really effective rides, get them into the money, and eventually when you start having those good performances, they lead to wins at big prices, and he gets another one here, 8-1 in a very wide open field.
You advance in the cross-country pick 5, yes?
I do, so does Jonathan, so we move right along.
Jonathan as well, 8-1 here. Barry Schwartz in the Institute putting away Icy Flavor late and winning with conviction and authority. That was visually impressive.
It was, and it's not as though the pace fell apart in this race whatsoever. I know Sharp As backed out of there, but Icy Flavor very game on the front end. Fortune's Nephew had to check a little bit and then sort of re-engage between horses, and I thought ran very well in what was only his fourth start, and then the first time that he put races back-to-back over a span of more than several months.
The Institute for Horacio De Paz had him cranked up, ready to roll, and he delivers at a price 2-8-1-5. Results when we come back. Trevor McCarthy and the Institute in the 8th at Aqueduct.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
Nobody catching Society. Cybernite has won the National over Tama and Ghana in the Forgo. Echo Zulu wins the Nature's Breeders' Control Facilities.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Gorgeous day in Hot Springs. Live look, Oaklawn Park. This is America's Day at the Races, as always brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get started. So much going on at Oaklawn, with the late Pick 5 getting started right here. The next cross-country Pick 5 race in about an hour, race 8. Still have the poinsettia. Post-parade brewing for the 6th. $30,000 claimers. Non-winners, 3 lifetime, all for sale, all 2 for something. There's $357 claimed from Barbara Minshall by Norm McKnight.
A horse that's only making his second start on the dirt, mostly synthetic and turf for this one.
Super Constitution, last win September 2021, Guided Arrow, productive summer in Iowa.
A horse that is a winner of his 2-back and 3-back races, very consistent over at Prairie Meadows.
City of Clouds, first after the claim, Ian Jewell, an outsider, then a contender, and Captain Jack, first after the claim, Lindsey Schultz.
Trying to win his second of the meet, leaving the Cipriano Contreras barn, which has been on fire so far at Oaklawn.
Hi-ya! Beat Louisiana Breds at Fairgrounds.
Yes, the winner last time out would need to take a little bit of a step forward figures-wise, but does get a fast track after 2 efforts on a sloppy sealed one.
Number 7, Al's Romeo, unraced since the first Friday in May.
We have not seen this horse since Oaklawn last meet. Has a race 2-back that could fit here.
Mean Jakey, layoff here.
A horse that, again, we haven't seen in a while. Avoided claim last time out. Steve Asmussen doesn't claim a ton of horses.
Infiltrator, Christian Torres there in the Horton White.
Another avoided claim last time, leaving the D. Wayne Lucas barn. Has the highest numbers in the field, though.
Lemon Drop Shot, owned and trained by Kim Poole, 15-1.
And kind of reflecting the past performances in the current odds.
And finally, Husker Butch on the outside, the Ontario bred, trained by Donnie Von Hemel.
Won 2 starts ago for a tag and then tried tougher at Keeneland last time out.
That's the field. 6th race, post time in 2 minutes. Start of the late Pick 5. For more, we'll check in with Paul and Richie, live from Oaklawn. Guys.
Thanks, Lafitte. Another difficult race, I thought, at least on paper, as the 5 right now. Is your current favorite. Actually, the 9 has turned over to your favorite, Infiltrator, and a really tough horse to figure out, because if the last 2 races that Infiltrator runs, they destroy this field, no?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if a fit Infiltrator shows up here, he is going to be very tough to beat. I do like that his penultimate work before this race, he went 6 furlongs. Now, it was a slow 6 furlongs, but those are stamina-building works, and I like to see that in a day and age where a lot of trainers breeze horses half miles, Paul, and they have them gallop out. I like when you see a horse put in a 3/4 work. To me, that's just putting air into them. He's taking money. Obviously, they like him. I'm on a long shot, Paul. I'm going all the way to the outside in the 11, Husker Butch. I think this horse has been running against better. He's got a little more recency. He's a consistent type. He seems to show up and run his race every time. And Chris Landeros has really gotten off to a good start here. And Chris is a good rider. Confidence is key. When a rider's confident, they'll ride to their best of their ability.
Yeah, when you look at this race, I would have to agree with you. The 11, probably the most consistent horse in the race. You know, I always say probably runs the same race or you've seen the same movie. You know, the 5 in here for Lindsey Schultz, claim this horse for 16 non-2. As we're looking at the 6, Haya. I think another horse, we'll get to the 6 right now as we're looking on screen. Here's a horse that, you know, if you look at Matt Williams, he's won a race already on the card. This horse has been everywhere from Turf Paradise to Canterbury. I know the last 2 races have been over a sloppy racetrack, but this horse has competed well.
Yeah, and listen, he's got numbers that make him competitive here. You get Ricardo Santana, who's gotten off to a little bit of a slow start at this young Oaklawn Park meeting, but you don't expect that to last. The guy knows his way around here pretty well.
Yeah, and then the 5, like we were just talking about, Lindsey Schultz. She's such a sharp trainer. She's 1 for 3 at the meet. She gets Emmanuel Esquivel off the claim. You know, this is a class rise for $30,000 for 16 on 2, and this horse is getting bet.
Well, and Lindsey Schultz wins at, you know, she's winning at 22% on the year. She's only had 3 starters at this young meeting, and she's 1 for 3. You pointed out to me that, you know, you feel like she's a very good horsewoman, not somebody I'm as familiar with. Listen, we saw Chaos yesterday. This is the kind of race, though, I think you could see a big price jump in here.
I mean, the other thing is here is the unknown is the 1. Now, the 1's got 1 race on a fast dirt. Is a horse coming in from Woodbine. Now, we've seen some horses come from Woodbine, claim from Barbara Minshall. We've seen her do well at Saratoga. But Norm McKnight is a heck of a trainer. And this is another horse, Isaac Castillo aboard.
Yeah, and I tell you what, he did catch my eye as the horses walk right by us on their way to the paddock to get saddled. This horse was dappled out, and you get cooler mornings here. Yesterday it was downright cold. Horses' coats really grow in. He still had kind of that summer tan going on. Although, speaking of cold, sun just went behind the grandstand. I'm glad you told me to bring my overcoat down. I'm going to the coats, guys.
Lafitte, I never get fooled. You got to keep the jacket on. I'm on the 5, Captain Jack. Mig?
I'm going to the 11 outside. Husker Butch with Chris Landeros.
There you go, Lafitte.
14-1, Husker Butch as they march behind the starting gate. Get ready for this 6th race, start of the late pick 5. Sarah, what'd you think? Who'd you come up with?
Well, I think Captain Jack is interesting, trying to win yet another time this meet, and he leaves a barn that's been going very well so far to start the meet. Cipriano Contreras, so far, 7 for 16 with a 12 in the money. The ROI bolstered by Lucky Boss, who won once via DQ at 10-1, returned to win yesterday at 22-1, so it's a $6.39 ROI. So leaving a good barn, but still going to a good barn. A trainer that is 11% first off the claim, but with a positive ROI and already 1 for 3 at the meet with a huge price. So I don't view it as much of a negative going from one capable stable to another. And I also have some questions about your favorite.
Lindsay Schultz with Captain Jack. Filing into the gate, Infiltrator the favorite at 5-2, seeking a 3rd straight victory. Christian Torres in the saddle. Time for the late pick 5, post time race 6. Oaklawn, here's Matt Dinneman.
Captain Jack goes in, waiting for Infiltrator. Still working with Infiltrator. Infiltrator goes in. 2 back. Lemon drop shot. And to the outside, Husker Butch. Here's Husker Butch. Goes in. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Beautiful start for Mean Janky, who gets the first call of the race. Captain Jack prominent, a couple of them had to take up. One of them was Al's Romeo, who got the worst of it. And Hiya as well had to check as they head down the backstretch. There's a wall of horses challenging for the lead. City of Clouds is there. Captain Jack and Mean Janky, those 3 across the track, approaching the forward turn run. Guided Arrow behind them in 4th. He's about 3 lengths off the top pair, Captain Jack and Mean Janky, who put away City of Clouds around the turn. Guided Arrow now moving outside of him. Hiya, after taking up at the start, is 5th. He's 5 behind, 2 clear of Super Constitution, and then 357. Husker Butch sent along with Al's Romeo, dropping out of it. Lemon drop shot. Infiltrator past him, but has 8 or 9 to make up and needs to get rolling as they come off the turn. Mean Jakey, an arrow leader here. Captain Jack is struggling down inside of him. City of Clouds attempting to re-rally. Farther out is Hiya coming with a run up the inside. Super Constitution. There's a wall of horses behind Mean Jake, who's on top by 2. City of Clouds is diving home in 357 charging under Isaac Castillo. 357 to win it. Second home, Mean Jakey suffered a heartbreaking loss but ran very well. And then Infiltrator, who got rolling late for 3rd. City of Clouds was 4th.
Really late, and it seems like Isaac Castillo, he's been at Aqueduct more than he's been here, but he keeps just winning races.
You go back and watch this replay and watch the ride he gives the 357 to thread his way through this field. He was in tight between horses. Horse was on his left lead. He kept fighting for his position going forward. This was, listen, sometimes riders win races because they're on the best horse, and sometimes riders contribute greatly. Isaac Castillo earned his keep here. This was a tremendous ride, a rider that I've been impressed with, and how he's keeping up with these frequent flyer miles. I was wiped out yesterday just flying here once.
Yeah, and the first time gelding really helped me and Jakey. He was loaded at the top of the lane, and when Keith Asmussen asked him, he sort of kicked on. The 9 Infiltrator got behind horses, and he started rolling too late, but the one just ran him down, was just a little bit quicker of foot, but Keith did all he could do on the 8.
Yeah, no, he did. He gave his horse every opportunity. That's all you can ask for riders, give them their opportunity to win. But this was one sensational ride from Isaac Castillo.
Isaac Castillo gets it done for the Norm McKnight barn. Second time on dirt, Lafitte, and he loved it.
26 race career. It had been all synthetics and grass. They figure out this 5-year-old can be as effective on dirt. 357 in a wild finish. A cavalry charge, Sarah.
All the horses were really making up ground late, as we saw the pace setter desperate to hold on. This one able to get through all of the traffic and get the job done. I guess he just does want to run on the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, better late than never. Finishing up on his wrong lead. Right result, Isaac Castillo. 357 in the 6 at Oaklawn. We're going to step aside from Fox Sports 2. You can continue to follow on the Fox Sports app. We have basketball coming your way with Chicago State and DePaul. We will be back on FS2 once the game is over on FS1. We'll see you over on the Fox Sports app.
Precocity.
Strategic speed. Some speed at 2, but can carry it on through their later careers.
Improbable, full of run. Improbable, now a Grade 1 winner.
It is a complete runaway, an authoritative run.
It's improbable to win the Whitney.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Thanks for joining us on the Fox Sports app. America's Day at the Races from Aqueduct Racetrack in South Ozone Park, New York. Blustery afternoon, temperature in the low 40s, and horses in the paddock for the 9th and final, where, Sarah, we have some significant Pick 6 carryover news. What's the scenario where we have the 2-day Pick 6 carryover coming in?
Well, there is some small potential of a triple carryover with numbers 6, 7, 8, and 10 uncovered, all big prices, but all could lead to a triple carryover. I believe the whole pool will go to someone if the number 4 Jakey Byrne gets the job done, but everybody else, the logical types in this race, are covered. And of course, Linda Rice looking to tie that record with 2 opportunities in here, bookending the field.
163 wins this year. The record 164 for most wins at New York Racing Association tracks. So Rice chasing another record. You heard Sarah mention the potential of a 3D Pick 6 carryover. If 6, 7, 8, or 10 do happen to win, it's a mandatory payout tomorrow with closing day of the Aqueduct Fall Meet. For the Paddock Report, we check in with Maggie.
Well, we'll check in with a logical contender and one that is not covered in the pick 6. And beginning with that favored horse, number 1, Newport Bridge, who drops in for a tag for the first time. Now, whether it was the muddy sealed track last time or was there an underlying issue, either way, he was virtually eased after being prominent early on in that allowance for New York breds. Now he comes in here, he's his typical kind of sharp self, in which he typically is, and that's when you see his better running. He looks fit, ready to go for Linda Rice, and it bodes a question mark. Will this be the race in which she ties the record? She does have 2 chances, and here, as you heard Lafitte say. Now moving on to one who isn't covered and would be a huge upset. But checking in with number 7, Shorts in the Winter. Do not recommend that. I always laugh at people who are walking around in shorts when it's 30 degrees. But Shorts in the Winter last time against Tougher, and this is only the second time he's being offered for a tag as he drops from that 40. He was really nervous in the paddock first time back into the barn for Mark Hennig on this surface. And today, he looks like a completely different animal. He's calm. There isn't a drip of sweat on him at all. His coat is resplendent. He's well muscled. Look, I can't suggest him on paper, but it's a 180 from what I saw last time out, Lafitte.
Except for the Shorts in the Winter. Looks great out there. Long shot at 24-1. Eric Cancel had a win yesterday and a win earlier on today's program.
Yeah, has been riding well since he returned off of a long layoff for him following an injury, able to sort of get back to business. And he's been more aggressive lately, which is when he does his better riding.
Trying to trigger the upset here with Shorts in the Winter. Who'd you come up with here?
I like the number 4, Jakey Byrne, a little bit, dropping back in for a tag, a horse that has run competitively when he is offered for sale and has just been kind of overmatched in his races where he doesn't really show up as much. He can be forward if they decide to do so, has a little bit of gameness to him, and ran really well, I thought, 2 starts ago with Trevor McCarthy aboard, who reunites with him today when he finished second at a huge price, 34-1 that day.
As you saw, Trevor with lots to smile about these days. Riding well, winning races. Jakey Byrne, 12-1 on the morning line, now 7-1. Another wide open wagering affair, Sarah, with Newport Bridge, the tepid choice at 3-1.
A horse that, as we mentioned, making that drop in class, but his last race, it's just really hard to recommend after he really was eased as the favorite, did no running, but obviously facing much easier company now today.
1 of 2 for Linda Rice, seeking that 164th win at an IRA track this year would equal the record. There he is, Newport Bridge and Kendrick Carmouche.
And he's just been facing tougher all around and has the numbers other than his last start that would make him a winner in this spot.
Bargaining power claimed from Linda Rice by Mike Maselli.
Able to get the win last time at a very short price when dropping in for the $20,000 tag, now facing winners.
3-0 claimed from Fernando Abreu by Carlos David.
Exits a race that Jakey Byrne comes out of, didn't really do a ton of running in that spot.
Sarah's top selection, Jakey Byrne.
The blinkers do come off this one, and last time out he faced a horse that would come back and win when dropping for Linda Rice the other day.
Collect from Ike, who did not build on his early December maiden win.
No, but he was in a tougher spot last time, trying the starter allowance group, and now goes back into a spot that at least is more logical for him.
Going in order is Overrated. There's Bayou Spirit, 2nd at 2 for Linda Rice. Jose Lescano aboard.
And just drops back in for a tag. This is a horse that she claimed for $20,000 and now puts him in a more realistic spot.
Not wearing shorts around here this time of year. Shorts in the winter, outsider 24-1. It would cover the 3-day Pick 6 carryover.
Maggie liked what she saw from this one. And of course, we're rooting a little bit. If you're not live in this, we want to see that money carryovers tomorrow and close out the year with a bang.
A mandatory payout. Blue plate special needs a clean break today.
A decent field, I would say, for the level last time that he was in. Hasn't really shown much in his more recent races. Another horse that would trigger that carryover.
Gun Maestro, contender.
He had a trip last time. He did not get out of the gate all of that quickly, and he was wired by Face Barrio.
We'll revisit in a moment. Number 10, Dr. Jerry, one race on a fast dirt track. He won.
It was at Finger Lakes, but you're absolutely right. Other than that, sloppy sealed surfaces or the turf at Saratoga where he did debut. So perhaps this is what he wants to do. And at 32-1, I can find worse prices to find out.
Another contender on the outside, Bayou Spirit, Jose Lascano, Linda Rice. Look out.
Yeah, absolutely. He was getting out of order in our post parade, but got a nice warm up from Jose Lascano, who has been riding, of course, very well for Linda Rice all meet.
JK, Bayou Spirit, Linda Rice owned and trained. Is this the one? Will this be 164 on the year?
I mean, look, it could be. That's going to be my pick in here. And one of the things I think that when you look at Linda's success that she had this year, I think a lot of it has to do with the efficiency in which she plays the claiming game. I think she has a lot of owners that when she says, hey, let's drop on this horse, let's claim this horse, she has a support of them. But I also think that she has the support of them when it's time to make aggressive decisions with those horses. I don't think she's one of those claiming trainers that tries to hold on to her stock. I think that if a horse is in a claiming race, she wants you to take the horse. And she's looking to get the win the purse, move the horse, and then get more action and get other horses for her clients. And I think that with a horse like Bayou Spirit, who she claimed for $20,000, she gave the horse a chance to run protected in a starter allowance race. That didn't work out. And then she puts right back in for the tag. No time to waste in terms of trying to hang on and see, and let's see if this horse, no. Run the horse where they need to run based on what they're worth. And I think the 11 Bayou Spirit is in the right spot, Mags, and I think that Bayou Spirit could get Linda the record.
Let's see here, Jonathan, almost called you Lafitte, sorry about that, as we are both landing on Bayou Spirit. And two back, he had a trip and was still able to overcome that trouble and adversity for previous connections at Keeneland. And from a numbers perspective, certainly jumped up last time in the Linda Rice barn. But he was breaking from the inside that day, and he didn't break all that sharply, and then he started climbing from the kickback, and he ran on a bit down the lane while lugging in. He has a funny mouth. Watching him in this warm-up today, too, and Jose kicked him on away from the pony to make sure that he breaks, and usually, last one in, first one out. Not saying he will be, but he should break better now being drawn to the far outside. I think it helps that Jose is getting on him for the second time because he does not present himself as an easy horse to ride. So I'm hoping that Jose is aggressive from the gate and then just kind of grabs mane and relieves some of that pressure off his mouth. Because like I said, I don't think he's a horse that handles Lafitte a lot of bit in his mouth.
Jonathan and I get mistaken for one another.
Oh, you look the same.
From time to time. More often than you'd think.
I believe it. I would not. All the women get mixed up quite a bit, though.
that does happen more often.
Whether you look alike or not.
Yeah. Bayou Spirit from Maggie and JK. Final thoughts here?
I mean, there's a lot to look forward to. Either we have Linda Rice tying the record, a triple-day carryover, someone possibly scooping the pool. There's plenty of options going into this last race. Good luck if you're alive.
And lots on the line. This ninth and final from Aqueduct, $25,000 claimers, non-winners, 2 lifetime, 6.5 furlong sprint. Chris Griffin standing by. It's post time.
And they're off. Dr. Jerry with early speed towards the outside. Also, Gun Maestro is in that early mix. In between horses, here comes Jakey Byrne to join them. 3 zeros in that early fray. That's the leading 4. Outwider is Bayou Spirit. Tightly at the rail is going to be Newport Bridge. Is going to wait for him and now gets shuffled back. Gun Maestro is there with the purple sleeves. And towards the back end of the field, you've got Bargaining Power. Second to last is going to be Shorts in the Winter. Is back there with Blue Plate Special. On the front end, down towards the inside is Jakey Byrne. Dr. Jerry still right there from second. Bayou Spirit is in gear from third. In between horses is Collect from Ike. There's 3-0 in the 5th spot. Also progressing, here comes Gun Maestro. Is there with Blue Plate Special, who's made up a lot of ground. Here comes Blue Plate Special and Jose Gomez. They're 4 wide. 22-1 was the opening quarter mile. They are 3 across the racetrack. Collect from Ike looking for room for Silvera. Down towards the inside, it's Jakey Byrne who's trying to fend off Bayou Spirit. And Bayou Spirit's got the lead at the top of the stretch. action. Bayou Spirit has kicked on. Bargaining Power is trying to make up some late ground. Also running on Dr. Jerry. Gun Maestro. Here comes a run from Blue Plate Special, and there's 3-0. But it's Bayou Spirit who approaches the 16th pole. Bayou Spirit is clear. Bayou Spirit. Trainer Linda Rice. Victory 164. Ties the seasonal record here with the New York Racing Association. Bayou Spirit wins the finale. Got close there. Blue Plate Special with an oncoming 3-0. Also in that mix was Gun Maestro. Final running time, 1 minute 17.39. Linda Rice with win 164.
What a feat. What a moment. Equaling, as you heard Chris Griffin reference, Linda Rice for most wins in a single year at New York Racing Association tracks, and Bayou Spirit doing so with authority.
He did, making that drop in class very much so the best. Set a great trip towards the outside, was able to pounce at the right moment. And what an incredible year that Linda Rice has had and been able to put together. The level of consistency with the horses that she claims, how she's able to appropriately spot them, going to Kentucky and having a lot of horses join her barn from there and finding the right spots on the circuit for them. And with dramatic fashion in both cases at Saratoga, tying that record and now tying the training title with Chad Brown, and now here tying the record on the second to last day of racing. Really cool to be a part of these moments.
Only female trainer to have captured a Saratoga training title, Linda Rice, and she's done it twice here with victory number 164 on the year. Bayou Spirit, and she owns this one as well. And hopefully we'll hear from Linda very shortly and what this means to her as this magical 2023 continues. Just 1 day left, and we may have more drama and theatrics, but for Linda Rice, yeah, a year she will not forget anytime soon.
No, absolutely not. 2023 will be a major year to remember for her, and a momentum to build on going forwards. Not all years and moments are going to be like this, but these are accomplishments to be proud of and to really keep in mind when things aren't going quite as well, to get you back to that point and even above it.
Such a shrewd operator as well. The condition book, the claims, spotting horses in certain races. Just that, of course, a terrific trainer as well, but very, very cagey as well.
And often she'll step horses up in class. It's not as though it's just dropping to win or to get that purse money. So this is a horse that dropped, but she often has success going the other way around as well.
Maggie's with Linda Rice.
Here with a winning trainer, Linda Rice with Bayou Spirit. And Linda, equaling the NYRA wins record today. Your year has been so filled with many accomplishments. Can you just reflect on what it means to you in your career?
Oh, I mean, it's just been such an amazing year from start to finish. You know, the victories, the defeats, you know, there's just so much that goes into it. I can't even express all the hills and valleys and the fun and the hard times along with it. But this is a year that I will always remember and I'll cherish because it's just been wonderful.
Linda, you have several entrants tomorrow, a couple horses in races, 5 races. What do you think?
Well, we have a few chances. I can't say we have any, you know, heavy hitters in tomorrow, but we have chances, you know, so I'm glad we got 2 today, so at least we got a tie.
Linda, congratulations on what has been a spectacular year from start to finish.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you.
Guys.
Could sense the emotion in her voice, what this means to her. Winning in this sport, to state the obvious, is really, really hard. Sarah, if you fail 4 out of 5, you're a Hall of Fame material. For Linda Rice and to compete on this circuit, facing some of the very best trainers in the world, and to put up those gaudy numbers in a single season, it's remarkable.
It is, and racing in all aspects, at whatever level of involvement you might be in, you're going to be wrong a lot more than you're going to be right. And as she kind of alluded to, there's a lot of hard times as well. There's a lot of early mornings, a lot of hard work, a lot of plans that don't quite work out. But to be able to have the perseverance, it leads to moments like this.
Linda Rice, 164 wins. Jose Lascano, who's won many of those for her, and strikes with Bayou Spirit in the 9th We'll have the results, the pick 6 payout, 11, 8, 3, 9 here at Aqueduct. We check in with Paul and Richie live from Oaklawn, getting closer to post time for the 7th. Guys.
Thanks, Lafitte. Well, obviously, myself and Richard Migliore here would like to congratulate Linda Rice as well.
Yeah, big accomplishment. Tide has a chance to break it tomorrow. You think about all the great horse trainers over the many years in New York. To be in that kind of company, just an incredible accomplishment.
I've reiterated it. We only got a couple more days left here in 2023. It's been the year of the woman. Jenna Antonucci obviously winning the Belmont, and now with Linda, and a lot of other great things that happened with the women in horse racing, bottom line.
Well, listen, they've always had the ability.
Yeah.
It's just about getting opportunity and certainly making the most of those opportunities.
Yeah, so congratulations to Linda Rice's. You see her always talking to her connections, always got her books right next, and those are the condition books, always well prepared. Congratulations, and hopefully tomorrow will be the milestone. Back here, we'll start the late pick 4 here at Oaklawn Park, and we got a solid field of 11. Scratch the 11 horse in here. This Damsel May Fly. You know, this is a bunch of Arkansas breds, and these Arkansas bred races can get a little bit, you know, tough to handicap, but a lot of the races here have been tough to handicap. I know one horse caught your eye, though, Mig.
I am bullish about the 9, and if I'm saying this probably in the gala, this horse is, you know, started his career, showed ability, right? Then things, then things kind of went sideways. But if, from a physical perspective, this horse runs to her looks, she is going to be very tough here.
Yeah, I mean, going through the post braid as we speak right now. Here's the 3 Street Painter. You know, a horse that was claimed for 15, the blinkers come off for Al Cates. I didn't know where to go with her. Now, the 5's going to come up here in a little second here. Aloha, baby. Ernie Witt had a horse run really well yesterday. She was behind the 9 in her first career start, too, as well.
Yeah, and taking money, you know, and a lot of these horses are coming off layoffs, and we see this very often with the Arkansas breds. When Oaklawn closes down, they kind of give them time off and then bring them back for these big purses they run for. It's a $115,000 pot for an Arkansas bred.
Yeah, and sometimes you want to look for the horse that has the most recency. This horse, the 7's getting money, but hasn't raced since January. The 8, Melania T, hasn't raced since August, but did get a race in at Canterbury. That could be key in here. And here comes the 9 and the 10. The 10 and the 6 were a little bit washy, Mig. What'd you make of the 10's looks on the racetrack?
Yeah, you know, it is just cool enough where you really don't want to see much of a sweat on, and I thought there was. Now, listen, this horse makes sense, turning back in distance and getting back with Arkansas breds, has good form. I wasn't overwhelmed with this horse physically as I was with the 9, who looks so much like her sire, Jimmy Creed.
And then the 12 with Devin Magnon and Riley Magnon. You know, this is the only horse with the most recent race, and I think could be dangerous here at 18-1. This is the horse that I'm going to select here at a big price. I just think this horse, we've seen this time and time again with these Arkansas bred races. Recency has been key, so I think this horse can run a big race at that price. You're going to stick with the 9, Nagala?
I'm all in on the 9, actually. I got my Naira bets firing.
Well, this starts the late pick 4. Good luck. I'm on the 12. Mig's on the 9. The 10. Running in the streets. We're not going to be running in the streets tomorrow night, Lafitte. We'll be dancing in the streets.
Be in the streets one way or the other.
Of course.
One way or the other.
Will you be joining them? Hop a
Hot
flight?
Springs. I got to work with you tomorrow. Where am I going?
You can go. It's
we
okay.
still on for Times Square?
Of course. I know you brought Andy last year.
I tried. And I went there, and he just didn't.
He didn't show up?
He didn't show up. He stood me
He
up.
ghosted you?
Yes.
Rude. Awful.
Is he back from Jamaica? Is he coming back?
Yes.
Is he staying? He is coming back?
Yes, he's already back.
He's already back. Oh, I have to work with him New Year's Day?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I should show you the text he sent me about working with me on New Year's Day.
Oh.
Something along the lines of, I need a raise. This is how I have to ring in my new year? With you, I need a raise.
What's your New Year's resolution?
I don't do resolutions, man.
Neither does Maggie. I guess it's a trend around here.
I don't do resolutions. Yeah.
Same old.
It's, because, I don't know. I think it's kind of
you don't need to
They're
change.
pretty predictable for the most part. You? Anything?
No, I think that you kind of set yourself up to have this expectation and then possible failure. And of course, there are plenty of things that everyone would like to improve on. But I don't, say I'm going to go to the gym every day or I'm going to do this or that. I think it's kind of a silly thing to do for yourself and only sets you up to not succeed.
I wonder if Linda Rice woke up New Year's Day this year and said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to win 164 races this year and tie the single-season record for a trainer in victories at NYRA tracks.
Maybe not that specific, but I'm sure around that ballpark.
Maybe she said 165. She has runners
Maybe
tomorrow.
166. Who knows?
Who knows? We're welcoming our viewers back on Fox Sports 2, Chicago State DePaul over on FS1. So, yeah, we have some news to break, something you might have missed here at Aqueduct in the 9th and final. First things first, it is post time out at Oaklawn, race 7. Matt Dinnerman standing by.
The field Aloha, baby. And Robina. Here's Robina to the outside. We're ready to go. And let off. Slow break from Street Painter, the gray horse, drops to the rear. Kokomo Starlet fires out fast with Rocco Bowen and grabs the lead in the early stages. Count It All Joy, Smoke and Motion right there as well. Even Nagala in that mix of horses as Kokomo Starlet leads the way narrowly. Count It All Joy comes up to apply the heat. Nagala placed in a good spot, running in the 3rd position ahead of Street Painter with Smoke and Motion. They're too clear of another pair, Miracle Shoes and Aloha Baby. Adamantly is 3rd last. The two at the back, Melania T, running the streets, and Robina's actually between them as well as they dash around the far turn. Battle ensues on the lead. Kokomo Starlet inside. Count It All Joy is outside, and they've put 2 lengths on Nagala, sent along by Julian Leperoux in the 3rd position, is gaining ground under the stick. Street Painter has made up significant ground after breaking slowly. She's 4th and starting to plummet back as they come down the lane. Count It All Joy, Kokomo Starlet, stride for stride in the final furlong. It's Count It All Joy with the edge. Kokomo Starlet trying to fight back. She's 2nd clearly, though, is Count It All Joy inches away. Count It All Joy and Ricardo Santana Jr. to score by about 2. Running the streets from well out of it. Gets up to snatch 2nd from Kokomo Starlet. Nagala checks in the 4th position.
And Count It All Joy and Ricardo Santana get the job done. And here's a horse that, you know, the trainer actually, after a 4th place finish, stuck this horse in the Rainbow Miss, but would look like never a loser as the 10 come flying late, but never looked like a loser around the racetrack, Mig.
None, and really terrific job by her conditioner to have this horse prepared to run that race, you know, be involved with the pace the whole way, hold it off under a hard-riding, hustling Ricardo Santana Jr. The 10 horse turning back in distance, finally she got herself on track and really came rolling late, but the race was basically over by then. And this horse, Paul,
tough to get to.
I'm
trying to look.
You know, 14-1. I couldn't have come up with this. It looked like the horse I like. Nagala was poised and in a perfect spot with Julian Peru and just had nothing when was asked. But these are Arkansas breds, and sometimes chaos reigns.
No, chaos does reign. And maybe if you want to read through lines, I always tell everybody, I did not like this horse. I did not use this horse. Go back and look. And maybe there's a hidden something there. And you go back and you look at the November 30th work and the December 8th work. A bullet drill and a 5 out of 95. Really good drills. And then what happens after that? They backed her up with 2 slow drills that you see in the recency. She was ready to go today.
I like that, too. I like when the heavy lifting's done and then they kind of let a horse, just those maintenance moves into a race.
Well, Philly by Double Irish starts off the late pick 4 here. Boxcars again, Lafitte.
Don't get Ricardo Santana at those prices very often at Oaklawn, but there it is. Count It All Joy, and maybe that'll get Santana going. Kind of a sluggish start to the meet, but pulls off the upset here. Count It All Joy off the bench and right to the winner's circle in the 7th at Oaklawn. We'll be right back.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, plus these standout performers. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
Warsaichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
Warsaichi has scampered well clear. Warsaichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2 is always brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years doing the usual, unusually well. For our viewers on Fox Sports 2, a historic moment with Bayou Spirit taking down the 9th and final for trainer Linda Rice, equaling the single season most wins by a trainer in a year at Naira Tracks, victory number 164. Linda Rice with Maggie shortly thereafter.
Linda Rice with Bayou Spirit. And Linda, equaling the Naira wins record today. Your year has been so filled with many accomplishments. Can you just reflect on what it means to you in your career?
Oh, I mean, it's just been such an amazing year from start to finish. You know, the victories, the defeats, you know, there's just so much that goes into it. I can't even express all the hills and valleys and the fun and the hard times along with it. But this is a year that I will always remember and I'll cherish because it's just been wonderful.
Linda, you have several entrants tomorrow, a couple horses in races, 5 races. What do you think?
Well, we have a few chances. I can't say we have any, you know, heavy hitters in tomorrow, but we have chances, you know, so I'm glad we got 2 today, so at least we got a tie.
Linda, congratulations on what has been a spectacular year from start to finish.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you.
Guys.
Right,
For Linda Rice, tied with Chad Brown, considered a win for both at Saratoga, the only female trainer to have captured a Saratoga training title. She's done it twice. And I think when you think back to the trainers over the years, Sarah, some of the very best ever, all time, that have trained in New York, and what that must mean to her, to have that record, to have won as many or equaling that record, 164 wins in a single season, all in 1 year, all at Naira Track. It's incredible.
It is, and she should be really proud of the accomplishments that she's been able to achieve this year, not just this one, but all throughout the year as well. And it's just really a tribute to the kind of barn that she has, where she's able to spot horses so effectively, claim horses from other jurisdictions and find the right spot for them, whether it's being more aggressive or dropping in class, as was the case for her winner here. Just through and through success all around, and it leads to times like this.
Remarkable. And we'll see how she does tomorrow. Linda Rice with her runners and trying to hold that record. It would be all to herself with victory number 165. Linda Rice, congratulations with that win earlier here in the 9th and final from Aqueduct. A couple hours before that, you had the featured event, Graves End and Bold Journey. We thought he was exiting a key race, the fall high weight handicap. Here, Sarah, Bold Journey putting it all together in the Graves End.
able to get the job done in here without that significant break in the weights that he had last time when he was able to defeat Durante and Rodney, able to do so again today. And it kind of was a question how the pace was going to play out in here because no win for gold to challenge Durante. What did Rodney have to do? Well, he had to go and out-sprint Durante, which is not an easy thing to do. Jose Lezcano doing all of the right things, just not able to get the result, beating on paper his main rival, but setting it up for the late closing kick of Bold Journey at what ended up being a generous 3-1 third choice.
And sharp, improving for Bill Mott, the win in the fall highweight handicap. This win in the Gravesend, we get 3 straight Bold Journey, and an important win for Eric Cancel, winning a stakes race for Bill Mott.
Absolutely, and doing so is one of the more underestimated ones against those 2 horses that were taking the bulk of the wagering play, able to work out a nice trip between horses and set him up for success.
And tomorrow, with the Queens County, with these grizzled vets, sharp horses coming into this one, many entering off wins. Here's the field in the morning line. 8 of them, mile and an eighth. 7-2, Constitution Lawyer drawn inside, and then Signator, Javier Castellano to ride, the tepid 3-1 morning line favorite.
This is a tough group. I mean, you have a lot of horses that we've seen quite a bit of this year and are very well familiar with coming in good form to this race, but it's the more lightly raced Signator who's going to run here rather than Gulfstream Park, looking to get his 3rd win in a row, and he's a horse that's really starting to put everything together for the Shug McGaughey barn with a nice, sharp career best 94 Beyer speed figure here. He just keeps improving.
It's a good race. As you mentioned, bypassing the Harlan's Holiday will run tomorrow in the Queens County. And what about Kinetic Sky for Rick Dutrow?
Didn't we just see him?
Ran like 2-3 days ago.
And got the win as well. So we'll see if he comes back in here and gets another one in really great form right now.
Revisiting Operation Willie Beeman. About a decade ago, he won a stakes race on Monday at Saratoga and came back a few days later to win what was the grade 1 King's Bishop. So this is not unfamiliar territory for trainer Rick Dutrow.
It's kind of an old school move, right? But that's the kind of trainer he is. Might as well strike while the iron is hot and bring a horse back to the races who's doing very well right now.
After what he did with White Barrio, I never question anything Rick Dutrow does. Again, we'll see what Kinetic Sky does in the quick turnaround tomorrow afternoon. We're done here in New York. We have racing at Oaklawn, but I get to stick around and work some more. You're stepping aside. How'd you get to go home early?
Random chance. I'm with you tomorrow, though.
You're back tomorrow. Sarah Elbadwi stepping aside. Chris Griffin, the voice of Aqueduct in the Winter, to be joining me very shortly. Also, Paula Duca, Richie Migliori on site at Oaklawn, where we still have the Poinsettia Stakes and much more coming your way. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. Fast horse, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
His name is Cyberknife!
Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. He could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
Welcome to the Adelphi Racing Club experience. Take ownership of stakes-winning thoroughbreds like Funny How, racing at the highest level circuits.
Funny How is in front. It's Funny How who's up by 3 lengths, approaching the 16th pole. It's all Funny How. Funny How, Katie Davis more than amused. Funny How wins the Broadway.
Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
For a time, as many as 350 major league players converged in Hot Springs, Arkansas each spring to prepare for the upcoming season.
Ownership felt they needed to boil out the alcoholic microbes. Hot Springs was known as a place that had therapeutic waters, and they came for that reason. And then the ball players turned out to love it because they really not only did get in shape, but they had a great time.
By the 1930s, nearly half of all major league teams had, at some point, used Hot Springs as their spring training base. Plus, about half of all prominent ball players visited Hot Springs individually. Babe Ruth used to visit Hot Springs to work his way into shape, a place to prepare for spring training. In fact, the Babe even used the hot healing waters to recover from influenza. This wall at the Gangsters Museum of America in Hot Springs represents the long list of Hall of Fame baseball greats who trained here. The winter storm of 2021 is a reminder of why baseball eventually migrated away from Hot Springs. The rain proved to be a disruption, and sometimes even the cold and snow wiped out valuable practice time. Although by the 1930s most teams moved to Florida and Arizona, Hot Springs would continue to be a destination for players to work out before joining their major league squads for decades to come.
So much history, a town with a lot of character, where Babe Ruth would go to get in shape before the baseball season. Now joined by Chris Griffin, the voice here at Aqueduct for the fall and winter. Chris, and first and foremost, just a great call and a historic moment. Yeah. Linda Rice winning her 164th win this year.
Yeah, I pinch myself in being a part of that. It really is. It's one of those things that when you get to be a part of that and it's your voice and you kind of start thinking of things, I'm not a big right down the lines kind of guy. So when you get a moment like that, to be able to equal that, and this has just been a tremendous year for women in the sport as well. I mean, you talk about Jenna Antonucci, you talk about everything that we've seen just on this circuit and nationwide and worldwide. And Linda Rice, she's got one more day to do it, and she's got a lot of chances tomorrow.
Several chances, yeah, tomorrow. But you didn't. I guess you didn't give it much thought beforehand?
No, I think it's remembering the number too, like making sure that you don't say the wrong number or throw it out when you toss it out, like 164, and you're like, check your phone and make sure you don't get a text like, actually, it's this number. But yeah, it's a great moment. It's a moment where I also need to stay out of the way. I don't need to become that moment. It is not my moment. It is hers, and it's the horse's moment.
Really, really good stuff. Great call earlier today. Linda Rice, we'll see if she can surpass that mark tomorrow with multiple runners here at Aqueduct, closing day of the fall meet, New Year's Eve. You can join us on America's Day at the races, and this has been released, and some of the more signature dates and the meets throughout the course of 2024 next year. Of course, what jumps off the screen there is the Belmont meet at Saratoga, the Belmont Racing Festival at Saratoga, June 6th through the 9th. Paul and Richie wanted to get your thoughts. It's going to be different, yes, but I don't know how jarring it'll be, guys, when you think back to what happened in 2020. Like, we had a Belmont Stakes at 1 1/8 in front of nobody, and a Kentucky Derby in September at Churchill Downs in front of nobody.
I mean, absolutely, Paul. I mean, you know, and if people look at the history of the Triple Crown races, they've been run at different distances in the past. They've been run at different racetracks. For me, I think it's fantastic because you've got an American Classic running at America's Classic racetrack. You think about Saratoga, the history there, the Racing Museum and Hall of Fame. It seems fitting to have a classic there.
Well, you took all the words out of my mouth. I mean, it's the epicenter, for me, of horse racing. That's just the bottom line. They've been running races there in the 1800s, let's be honest. It's the 1863 Club. I mean, so we can go on and on. The town of Saratoga, what that brings to the table, too, as well. But couldn't be more excited. I think it's something that's unique and something that we'll look back on and be special.
Well, I know a lot of people that have already made their plans. You know, it's tough to get a hotel room now, but you can probably get one in Albany, or if you go a little bit further north. And if you think about Saratoga and the history of the place, they ran the first race meeting in Saratoga within, I think, 6 weeks of the Battle of Gettysburg. Wrap your head around that, guys.
I don't think I need to say much. And by the way, Lafitte, I don't know if Babe Ruth was really getting in shape. Probably drinking some beers with Satchel Paige.
That's just how good he was. Like, not necessarily the finely tuned athlete, and yet one of the greatest baseball players to have ever lived.
Yeah, and two guys that know about getting in shape. Paul Duke and Richard Bailey, you wonder why they're down there. They're getting ready, getting warmed up, they're in training, and then they'll be at Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. Look at that.
Maybe we'll see Shohei Ohtani.
Why not?
Warming up,
Why
getting
not?
ready for his Dodger debut in Hot Springs, preparing for the season.
He can do it all. That Shohei Ohtani was actually talking to him, talking about him this morning. It's that'll
I
be
was going to
an
say, I'm really impressed. You were talking to Shohei Ohtani this morning.
You never know. There's still time. You would more likely than me. You're the star up here.
I wonder you didn't have time to prepare exactly word for word what you were going to say when Linda Rice won her 134th race. Too busy to talk talking to Shohei. Post parade race 8, Oaklawn. The cross country pick 5 continues here. The third leg with the $62,500 allowance optional claimer. 6 furlongs, 3-year-olds and older. They'll make the turn. We have a post parade familiar of name. Necker Island, a 9th place finisher in the 2020 Derby.
Yeah, over $1 million earner. Christian Torres in the saddle. You know, his last win came off of that off-the-turf effort at Ellis Park. We'll see.
Sir Wellington should be in the mix early.
Yeah, that's going to be tough with the big favorites sitting right next door.
Skelly, last season's Count Fleet winner.
Yeah, Skelly is going to be that deserving 1-2 favorite. I think you might even see a shorter price. Tough to beat.
Class of the field, then edge to edge. No match for Skelly on last season's Count Fleet.
I do like this one a little bit, though. You talk about the form a little bit on the 5. I kind of like edge to edge.
Maniwa out, Friar Lawrence in, outsider 24-1.
Going to need a lot to fall in favor for Friar Lawrence to get up.
Payne, number 8, 12-1 for the Asmussens.
Yeah, another one that just a lot of minor shares. Got to go a long way back to the last win, actually last year around this time.
Ultimate, number 9, 7th in the opening weekend, Ring the Bell.
I'm saying this a lot, but deep closer. Horse that needs to come from way out of it.
Touch Revenge on the outside. First race on dirt in a while.
Yeah, more a turf horse. The blinkers do go on, so, you know, maybe just kind of taking a shot and see if they can get a minor share. 1 for 12 at Oaklawn, not loving that.
The field there for the 8th. The cross-country pick 5 continues here. Jonathan Kinchin is with us and I believe still alive in the cross-country pick 5, yes?
I am, Lafitte. I'm alive. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, look, I had the all button and I used 4 horses. So, but hey, look, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Look, I really like Skelly in this spot. I understand the horse comes in off fillet off, but there's a handful of Hall of Fame trainers that when they bring a horse over to run off of her break, I don't really worry too much about it. Steve Asmussen, Bob Baffert, Todd Pletcher, there's these types of guys, to me, are future Hall of Famers as well in the mix. It's just not a problem for me. And Skelly, if you think back to May of this year, take a time machine. I watched some silly movie on Peacock about a time machine. That's why that came in my head. You think about a time machine going back to May, Skelly was like one or two horses that you could even imagine could beat Elite Power in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. He was on that kind of roll. He looked like another one of those fast horses for Steve Asmussen, a Volatile, a Matoli, one of those type, a Jackie's Warrior type. And then he obviously went to the shelf. I think Skelly is the best sprinter if he can find that form in training right now, outside of maybe a horse like Nakatomi, who ran extremely well in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And I think Skelly will show that again here. And hopefully a more grown-up Skelly. This horse is extremely fast, Paulie.
Yeah, Paul, he is fast, Skelly. You know, just what Jonathan's talking about. He looked like he was on his way to being the best sprinter or one of the best sprinters in the country last year. Obviously, things went a little bit sideways. Gaudy record here at Oaklawn Park, 4 for 6.
Well, Blinkers has completely changed this horse around. I mean, he's an absolute bullet. At one time last year, I really thought he was going to be towards the favorite of the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And, you know, after the Lake Hamilton, they went to Lone Star. And, you know, he won that race. But you look in the Lake Hamilton, he was drifting out a little bit in that race. He beats Sir Wellington. He beats Edge to Edge. You're seeing both of these horses. But, you know, this right here, he drifted out just a tad. But he stopped the clock in 109 and change a couple times here at Oaklawn Park. And he's, like you said, a horse that loves this racetrack. The worry is going to be the layoff. But I say this all the time. Steve Ashton's got the best car wash I've ever seen because this horse looks amazing.
He looks amazing. He walked by here, and I would say, man, Paul, he's just so well turned out. I think you and I kind of agree, though, if there's to be an upset, and we're not saying there's going to be. I mean, we respect Skelly immensely. we both kind of looked at the 5 edge to edge a little bit as a horse that maybe just sits the trip.
Edge to Edge is a weird horse because as you're looking at the 3 right now, Sir Wellington, you know, we'll start with the 3 because it's on the screen. I don't see how Sir Wellington wins this race because the 4 is quicker. I know the 3 is going to have to be sort of the assist for the 1 or the 5 here. It's going to be very interesting if Edge to Edge is going to push outside the 4. Sir Wellington on the inside is going to get pace to run at, but he's going to have to get a challenge Skelly to run at, not a loose Skelly.
Right, so in essence, you're thinking Sir Wellington could have a say in how this race is run, not necessarily as a win candidate, but maybe softening up Skelly a little bit.
I think that's the only thing, Mick, because I just don't think that Skelly or Sir Wellington can get in front of Skelly, and I don't know if he can pass. And it's kind of the same thing with Edge to Edge. Can Edge to Edge pass Skelly?
Well, listen, Skelly's classy. He's good. He's fast. He's got the right connections. Obviously, Steve Asmussen, all-time North American leading trainer. I'm going to take a little bit of a stab with Edge to Edge. Hopefully he sits the right trip and gets it done. I think Chris Landaros has been riding extremely well. But this is the kind of races you get when you put up $143,000 for an allowance race, Paul.
Yes, it is true. What a race. This is a heck of a race. I'm going to go with the 1 in here, Lafitte, Necker Island. I just think he gets the trip. Listen, Skelly's going to be tough to beat. The first I would say first quarter of a mile here is going to be very key. Keep your eyes on the 4. He's a rocket ship.
This is exciting. Skelly, who had rattled off 5 straight wins, his first start since late May. It's not just about this performance, Chris, but what it could mean moving forward. It was right around this time on the calendar at Oaklawn last year that Steve Asmussen brought back Gunite. And as impressed as he was with Gunite on that afternoon, he went on to take on Elite Power in Saudi Arabia and go on to do much bigger and better down the line. So for a jumping off point, here, Skelly, really excited to see what he does in his 4-year-old debut.
Yeah, I think the audience is excited to see, too. I just think that you go back to his losses, right? I was trying to see where I could knock this horse. He's 9 out of 10 in the exacta. It's very tough to go against him. I do like Edge to Edge. Does need the Sir Wellington to go right after this early pace setter because there's just not a ton of that early kick. Skelly should win. We'll see what happens.
Post time. Here's Matt Dinnerman.
Revenge to the outside. Still working with Touch Revenge. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Good beginning from Edge to Edge. There's Skelly, and Skelly goes to the front, Edge to Edge second. Sir Wellington off the speed, and Skelly has cleared off successfully. Absolutely no excuses for Skelly, who leads the charge clearly. The margin's 1.5 lengths. Edge to Edge, Sir Wellington side by side. Then a gap of 2 to a line of 4. Necker Island slips inside of Friar Lawrence. Ultimate 3 deep. Farther out, Touch Revenge. Parked wide into that 4-turn run. Payne is the trailer. 7 or 8 lengths behind his stablemate, the graded stakes winner Skelly. Skelly leads the charge under Ricardo Santana Jr. and cruises around the 4-turn, 1 3/4 lengths ahead. Edge to Edge in chase mode second. Sir Wellington under a drive now third. The Necker Island Ultimate, the other 3 well behind Skelly, who comes off the turn, still in front. Edge to Edge trying to put up a fight today. And second on the outside, switches lead. Skelly asked to quick, and he does so. Edge to Edge fighting to get by him. He's still second as Skelly hits the 16th pole, 2 clear. Edge to Edge has run a very brave race today, but it's Skelly, and Skelly is back in business. Skelly wins it and kicks off his Oaklawn meet with a gate-to-wire victory. Second home, Edge to Edge. Third was Sir Wellington and then Payne.
Well, the son of Practical Joke gets the job done. He stopped the clock in 1:09 3. Great training job. Listen, I know there's a lot of accolades going towards Steve Asmussen, but this is a horse and a real horse that went a little sideways on him in May. He came back strong. This was a strong effort because the 5 ran his A game today.
Yeah, this was a big effort. Listen, Edge to Edge got the trip. He had his opportunity. He came up second best. And it's really hard to get a horse fit that has Skelly's style, speed. He's got to run the whole race, right? But I turned to you when he went 22 and I said, man, that's just so well within his reach. He was comfortable doing it, and he found more, kicked away. Kind of exciting. You know, they have such a nice comprehensive series for all divisions here at Oaklawn Park. It'll be interesting to see Skelly if he's able to, follow up and defend his Count Fleet title from last year.
Yeah, I talked to Steve about this horse last year when this horse was on the roll. He said blinkers has just completely changed him. And he's like, listen, I've been trying to get him out here, Oaklawn. You know, when he went to the Lake Hamilton, he was thinking of let's ship and go somewhere else. They were thinking about going to Parks, then to the Breeders' Cup. And then, you know, they went to Lone Star instead. They got the money. And then the horse just had a little bit of, I want to say a shin problem. It was nothing crazy. And when I talked to Steve, he said, listen, we're going to have to lay him up. It's a shame because I really think he's going to be very good. But this horse is going to be a major player in 2024 in the sprint division.
Well, if this effort was any indication, but this is a really nice comeback effort and something, a scary thought, even to build on.
No, it is. And, you know, when you have these kind of elite horses, Lafitte, sometimes you try to go for horses from off the pace, and the two best horses that looked on paper were the 4 and the 5, and that's the way it ran.
Too much speed, too much class, Chris, too much Skelly. And a victorious return to the races. Ricardo Santana, Steve Asmussen teaming up for Skelly. 6 straight onward and upward for one of the most talented sprinters in the sport.
Workmanlike effort. I think for a comeback effort like that, maybe what you want to see, we thought the 3 would go, the 3 didn't go. So when the 3 doesn't go, and you don't have pace pressure like that, and you can finish the way Skelly does, he finishes and gets the job done. Coming back, you know, off of this point, I think a lot of bettors are going to kind of shy away from this. I think they might like edge-to-edge a little bit because somebody's going to go with him early in that race, and then you say edge-to-edge maybe closes into that margin. So decent comeback effort, workmanlike. We'll see how he progresses into the season.
Look at him out there on the track. Just what a pro. Skelly, too fast to catch. Results when we come back. Plus 2 decades, 20 years since the Smarty Party. 2004 Kentucky Derby Preakness winner, the Smarty Jones. His legacy continues. The Smarty Jones New Year's Day first step towards the Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Flightline is in full flight. Flightline turns it on at the top of the stretch, and he's in cruise control.
And Flightline takes off!
Take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear.
World-class racehorse, world-class performance at a world championship event.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Dust settling following that stirring performance and comeback by Skelly at Oaklawn. And you saw it right here on America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Right about here. Ricardo Santana looking for competition, gives Skelly his cue, Chris, and Skelly responds.
Yeah, very kind of familiar with that replay that we saw before going into the race, the way that he opens up, he sprints, he finishes, he runs at a good time. The race kind of ran the way we saw it on paper. I mean, it kind of plays out that way sometimes, and this one did. Price was about 4 to 5, so I mean, you know, if you liked him today, you got a decent number there, 4 to 5, especially with a couple scratches.
Blinding speed, exciting to see what Skelly in his comeback here and what he does moving forward, delivering 380. Ricardo Santana, Steve Asmussen, and Edge to edge. A solid effort to complete the exacta. And yeah, with Skelly, when you're that good, when you're that fast and seemingly one-dimensional, as the races get bigger, as the competition gets tougher, he can expect to see more pressure.
Yeah, he's going to see a little bit of early speed. Join him in the count fleet if they talked about that, and moving forward to that, we'll see what happens. But I might play against, especially at a short number moving forward.
Skelly 380. Jonathan and Sarah both still alive with their tickets and their cross-country pick 5. The follow-along, Skelly 380, races 9 and 10 to wind out the sequence. Coming up, included the poinsettia, the feature. Race number 9 is next from Oaklawn fillies and mares at 5.5 furlong a dash, $150,000 purse. I'm the boss of me from a morning line of 4 to 1, Chris, 8 to 5 early in the wagering.
Yeah, if you're those that like those will pays and probables, it looked like the 1 and the 6 are the ones that are taking the action. So some of the early action here on the 3, I'm the boss of me. Horse coming off of a layoff with Greg Compton. You get Arietta aboard, who's been riding well. Not atop the jockey standings, but 8 to 5. Horse is definitely taking the early action here in the poinsettia.
The Oaklawn Saturday feature is next, the poinsettia. Much more from Oaklawn with Polly and Rich. As our coverage continues on this Saturday afternoon, America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. We'll be right back.
Boy standing at Claiborne Farm.
Thoroughbred Racing is taking vital steps to make our sports safer. These include the use of independent veterinarians, strict anti-doping and medication controls, and a single national authority empowered to create uniform standards and enforce reforms. With each step, more data is gathered, accountability demanded, and progress made as safety takes the lead. Visit ntra.com/safety for more.
Gorgeous afternoon in Hot Springs. You're watching America's Day at the Races. As always, brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years doing the usual, unusually well. Claiborne owned a Derby winner, Swale, back in '84. Try to mix that in whenever possible. That's what's exciting about the end of the year, Chris, with the 2-year-olds about to turn 3, and then all the focus on the 3-year-olds and looking ahead to the Triple Crown and the Kentucky Derby. And the fact is that you never know where the next superstar is going to emerge. Smarty Jones, who made his first start as a 3-year-old here at Aqueduct, did all his damage along the road to the Derby at Oaklawn, that big win in the Arkansas Derby, and then in the '04 Kentucky Derby in the slot. Finally putting away the stubborn front-running Lionheart.
It takes us right back there, 2004, 20 years ago. That's a little tough to kind of take, but this was great. I mean, it's just a wonderful story that goes along with that great horse and Smarty Jones, and man, it meant a lot to the Chapmans, Stuart Elliott riding that day, and just this moment. You can go right back to that moment, and you can remember it. You know, it's one of those memorable moments from a Kentucky Derby. So,
what's the first memory for you when you think of Smarty Jones? Is it the Derby win? Is it the hole he ran on the win in the Preakness, or that Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes?
Well, I think that moment is the moment that we go right back to, because we can remember the call and that environment and that atmosphere. I will say, when we talk about the road to Kentucky Derby, I remember when Terry Wallace was calling Smarty Jones at Oaklawn, and I remember when
in his
undefeated and the whole thing going into that race, and the excitement of just that energy level, and like this horse is for real, and being able to work with some of the folks that are familiar with Smarty Jones. I've had some time to hang out with them and get to know those connections and hear that story. Wow, what a great racehorse, and that was a fun time. It takes me 20 years ago, though.
It's unreal.
Catchy
name.
It is a catchy name.
So that was part of it.
I agree.
That was part of it.
Smarty Jones, it's a very catchy name. You don't think of it right away, but yes, I agree.
And it's the first step towards the Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn Park. Takes place New Year's Day when they all turn 3. America's Best Racing's race of the week. You never know when that next superstar could emerge. And there's the field with 9 of them. This year, 1 mile and a 16th. It'll be the same distance as the Southwest, and then on to the Rebel, of course, the Arkansas Derby, but 1 mile and a 16th this year. And just steal number 7, Ramon Vasquez, for a trainer who knows a thing or two about getting 3-year-olds to the big show.
Yeah, the more things change, the more things stay the same. When we talk about Hall of Fame trainer Dwayne Lucas and Oaklawn Park, and having a horse that has been campaigning pretty consistently as a 2-year-old, and now as a 3-year-old is going to have a lot of that bottom kind of underneath the horse, and we'll see how it sets up. But this was a nice effort, kind of bounced back to form a little bit, and really now takes the next step forward. And you can see this looks like a horse that the coach would train, just big, strong. You know, again, I didn't grow up around horses early, but I know when I see a Dwayne Lucas horse that it's going to be that kind of robust, real strong stride down the lane.
Yeah, the experience. This will be his 8th career start, and a starting point for the 3-year-olds. Those prices, those purses, I should say, that have been inflated. The Arkansas Derby will be $1.5 million this year. And remember, the winner of the Fantasy wound up being the favorite for the Kentucky Oaks, and the winner of the Arkansas Derby was the post-time favorite. A lot of that had to do with the scratch of Forte, but all the same, the post-time favorite for the Kentucky Derby. And those are those key races with all those points being offered. The road to Louisville, Chris, through Hot Springs.
Yeah, it's called the road to the Derby for a reason, right? It's not always the end of the road. It could be the very first stop when you're going on that road. So the Smarty Jones is that first stop. And you talk about the points, you know, it used to be about the earnings and not anymore. When you talk about the points and leading up to the race, you got to get those points. You got to make sure that you get well positioned. And if you win some of those, you know, those February 24th in the Rebel and the Arkansas Derby, of course, that puts you in a very strong position. But a race like the Smarty Jones is really going to start that journey on this road to the Derby. And, you know, we always get excited at this time of year when they start turning 3, and now we say, okay, we've got a Derby prospect, and the connections like it, the trainers, the jockeys, everybody kind of positions themselves for this moment for the first Saturday in May. And it's going to run through Oaklawn Park, and it's going to run through many tracks that we're going to be covering here on America's Day of the Races. So we'll see how it does continue. And but Dwayne Lucas on the road to the Derby, that's never a bad thing.
Like you said, his first Preakness win back in 1985, Preakness in Baltimore. He won that race before Cal Ripken made his major league debut. Just to lend perspective, that's how long Dwayne Lucas has been doing it at the highest level.
Cal Ripken and Babe Ruth have made it into the show today. How about that? It's a throwback.
And you were on the phone with Shohei Ohtani.
Look at us.
Earlier today. Horses in the paddock, as you can see, for the featured event at Oaklawn. Riders up, a post-parade when we return. The poinsettia next on America's Day at the Races.
Spun to run. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more, and he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Now, this multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, and Breeders' Cup champion is passing his remarkable talent along to his progeny.
955, 200, 200 down, 2, in the back. Patrick, 200,000. Thank you.
Spun to run, standing at Gainesway.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
We watched his career. You know, the speed he had was tremendous. So we bought 2 or 3, underbidder on several. Really nice volatile colt in this last sale that I think maybe $600,000. Beautiful colt.
Tom, $600,000. Thank you very much and good luck.
Perfect sire for the 2-year-old sales, and so we'll be bidding against some of our peers, no doubt. So we're looking forward to it. We like a little competition. You know, it's fun.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Late was she would be a 3rd-generation homebred from one of our families. And she broke her maiden impressively at 2. She was briefly on the Oaks Trail, then came back as a 3-year-old later in the year and won the Alabama and the Belle Dame. And then as a 4-year-old, I won the Delaware Handicap, had that famous stretch battle at Saratoga with Abel Tasman. And then she came back as a 5-year-old and had another famous stretch battle in Saratoga with Midnight Pursuit. She got bested both times, but it wasn't for lack of trying. So she was a fantastic race mare, and we just hope that she can carry on her tenacity in her foals. So she has a Tappet colt, she has a Spice Sound yearling colt, and a 2-year-old Warfront filly. My dad purchased Wild Applause back in the early 90s, and she's been an outstanding mare for us. A lot of our families have come from her, including like Praise, Flatter. Wild Applause has been fantastic, which has gone on to a Yell, which has had many daughters, and they're starting to produce really top-level runners as well. So Late's continuing on. The family's been unbelievable to us. She's obviously helped make it for doing what she did. Hopefully it won't end anytime soon, and she will have plenty of foals and daughters that will carry on her legacy.
Some of those images are so cool. Elate, what a race mare. And as always, our coverage here on America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Claiborne Farm. 100 years doing the usual, unusually well. We have the poinsettia Saturday feature from Oaklawn Post Parade, high class drawn inside. Currently 2-1, first of 2 for Steve Asmussen, and coming in hot.
Yeah, you take a look at this 9th race coming up. It's a nice stakes race. Steve Asmussen's got a couple shots in here. We saw the early money on I'm the Boss of Me, Arietta. I'm actually going to go away and try and take a little bit of shot. And the way the board looks right now, very lukewarm favorites, and it kind of seems like not sure where to go. So we'll see what happens.
High class, another look at her. Cortland Farm Blue has rattled off 2 straight.
Yeah, has won 2 straight. Christian Torres picks up the mount. Does have the rail draw. We'll see. The trip does seem like she wants to be very forwardly placed.
Dealing Justice number 2. Didn't break in her first start at the meet.
Yeah, and off the claim here. She gets claimed off of that last effort. Now comes in for a new barn. Barn's been a little chilly, so at 15-1 probably warrants that price right now.
I'm the Boss of Me, 4th in last year's poinsettia behind Pretty Birdie and Company.
Yeah, and she's got the 3-for-9 form here at Oaklawn. She's 1-for-4 at the distance. I mean, the early money came in pretty heavily. She's now floating back up, which seems to make more sense.
Quick, filly, Margot in a bubble bath, 6-1.
I'm going to land here. I mean, the horse has won 2 in a row, and we could talk more, but Manny Esquivel has also had a really strong start to the meet.
She's arriving with momentum, and then she's storming the Arkansas bred.
Really looks like a starting point for the year. I couldn't figure this one out. I couldn't figure this horse out as far as, you know, the Arkansas bred, some state breds, just maybe kind of a launching point.
Does feel like a jumping off point. Topsy, and look out for her running late.
Yeah, she's won 2 in a row. She comes off of that race at Zia, now ships back over here to Hot Springs, got the money on the last start. I'm going to play against today.
Shandana, Indiana bred, 1st or 2nd in 16-25.
Another horse that's been very popular at the claim box and comes back in for this stakes race now, an Indiana bred that seemed to work well going into that last effort, comes off the claim. 9-2 is getting a little respect on the board.
Live on the board, opened up at 10-1. The field for the poinsettia, 7 of them, fillies and mares. Jonathan, high class, drawn inside, the favorite at 9-5. What are you expecting for Steve Asmussen, looking to go back-to-back in the Saturday card?
Yeah, look, I'm expecting this horse to go to the front end, Lafitte. Drawn on the inside. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. Didn't quite work out. But, when you're drawn inside and you have speed, there's only one way to really go. There's no reason why Christian Torres is going to take this horse back, rate him, get him in behind horses. He's got that natural speed. He's shown it going 5.5 in an off-the-turf race last time. And I just think that they'll fire away from there and find their position moving forward. And I think that this horse will control the race all the way around there. These 5.5 dirt sprints, you don't see them that often across the country. But, man, they are really dominated by speed. So, for me, high class makes a ton of sense. But I understand if there's a problem with the price for you there. There looks to be some other speed in the race as well, although I think high class is the speed of the speed. Chris mentioned the 4, Margot in a bubble bath. I mean, this horse is interesting as well. If you look at the past performances, this horse had a big number last time. Now, most of the time when you find horses that have those jump-up numbers, you start asking yourself, where did that number come from? But I think if you look to the trainer situation, Matt Shire claimed the horse for $50,000, and now Matt Shire's got the horse kind of rolling a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised for Margot in a bubble bath to take another step forward. If you played that pick 5, that cross-country pick 5 along with this, you got the 1 and the 4. Let's get this thing home. Fellas?
I mean, Margot in a bubble bath is in good form. She's trying hard, but this is a step up, Paul, and she's got to deal with some serious speed from high class.
Yeah, and, Steve Aspen just won the last race with Skelly. High class, I said this before, don't pay attention to the off-the-turf races at Churchill Downs. They were never carded. They were basically taken off before they even were carded on. Right. And she wired the field. She's very, very quick as the one. I think she's the speed. She's going to be very tough. I just can't get on board with the other Asmussen runner, Topsy. She's been at 4 or 5 different racetracks, and I understand recency has been key here, but she's, last time at Zia, Remington, Churchill Downs, Ellis, Belmont, this is her 6th different racetrack in her last 6 races.
She's well-traveled. She's 4 for 10 lifetime. But she's a complementing kind of style to her uncoupled stablemate, right? She's a closing sprinter type. So maybe if things heat up on the front end, Topsy can come running. Long-time clients, the Heilig boats for Steve. I think high class just appears to me like she's just hit a form cycle that she's going to be extremely tough here.
I'm with you. She's gotten Lasix in her last 4 starts, and she's exploded. In her last race, the buyer number exploded, the number exploded. She's going to be really tough to reel in here. You get Christian Torres aboard, who is familiar with her. I'm the boss of me, the 3, taking a little bit of money off the layoff. I was interested in the 7. Lafitte and Chris in studio were talking about this horse, popular in the claim box, but a horse that does like to win races is Indiana bred.
That makes horses dangerous, doesn't it? When they just kind of run to the level of their competition. And Shindana, she tries as hard as she can and brings her best consistently. Again, the 9 lifetime wins and 7 runner-up efforts in a 25-race career.
Yeah, you start to look at those different records and the connections. They see horses like this and they see that they still got some conditions left, so it leaves it a lot wide open for them. Margot in a bubble bath, and we're taking a look at the one right now in high class. And this becomes one of those cases that I hear a ton as an announcer, analyst, whatever you're doing, is that when a trainer's got 2 in there, you're saying, okay, which Steve Asmussen horse do I want to go with, right? It's the other Asmussen or anything like that. High class just comes into this race in very good form. Christian Torres, we talked about the meet that he had last year. He's had a lot of seconds to start off the meet here at Oaklawn Park, so you know that his agent, he's probably been in very high demand to start off the meet, and he's just been knocking on the door in a lot of these starts. It's going to turn around and he'll get on a roll, but he picks up this mount off of a horse that won impressively at Churchill Downs like this. It was an off-the-turf effort, and when it's an off-the-turf effort for me, that's telling me that Steve Asmussen was looking at it saying, we're probably going to be on the dirt in that race, so I want to make sure that high class is in there. She's got a definite big shot. And then her stablemate in Topsy, a 3-year-old filly that shipped to New Mexico, wins that race at Zia, now comes back. So you like a horse that can travel like this, and Topsy just did really what she was supposed to do. she was 8-5. I mean, she wasn't taking a ton of it, or she was, no, she was, yeah, she's coming up out here on the outside. But, you know, it's a good effort. Rosario was aboard that day. Santana Jr. Comes off of decent efforts there in the victory ride. I don't know. I'm not sure what to think of her. I think the bettors are kind of going back and forth because they feel like, visually to me, High Class is more impressive. But it seems like Topsy has done just a touch more at this stage of her career.
That was impressive, though, what she did in the Zia distaff. She had a pace to run at to enhance her late kick. Asmussen has the bookends. He has it all covered here because with Topsy, the table should be set. He has the anticipated pace setter in High Class, and if they go too fast and if High Class comes up short late, look out for Topsy in the stretch.
And Steve Asmussen, you know, as far as the training goes, with so many horses, being able to take 2 3-year-olds like this and say, okay, we're going to go in this effort. Now where are we going to start to put everybody? Sometimes they do have to run against each other, but he's done a tremendous job. Hall of Famer, that's exactly why. But Margot in a bubble bath, I don't know. Winning the last 2.
7-1.
Maybe some champagne in that bubble bath if she can get this
could
one.
also be in that chasing position with High Class, who's been just so good since the layoff. Just better as a 3-year-old filly. The one to catch, perhaps the one to beat. Favored at post time in the poinsettia is High Class. We're all set for the Saturday feature. The poinsettia, here's Matt Dinnerman.
Down up to the gate goes it. And as she went in, well, we have a rider off dealing justice. And Margot in the bubble bath went through the front of the gate. Margot in a bubble bath coming back behind the gate. She reloads, and after her we'll be ready to rumble. Margot in a bubble bath sit. We're ready. And Laroff in the poinsettia stakes. I'm the Boss of Me wins the start. High Class from the inside sent out to get after that leader. And those two match their motors down the backstretch. I'm the Boss of Me outside. High Class is inside with Topsy right off of them. Margot in a bubble bath. A joint third, too. Chandana next on the course is 4 lengths behind in the white jacket. 3.5 now, 4 clear of dealing justice. And she's storming. Those two dropping to the back. And they're losing contact with the main contenders. Around the far turn. High Class takes it to I'm the Boss of Me, who's a neck behind hounding. High Class with a narrow edge. I'm the Boss of Me right there to the outside, making her work. Margot in a bubble bath is third. Chandana making a move on the outside, 4 wide. Topsy has lost ground and is plummeted back to 5th as they swing off the corner. I'm the Boss of Me, losing touch with High Class, who hits the furlong pole with a 2-length lead. Chandana trying to reel her in. High Class, 16th to go. Grittily holds on to the lead. Chandana under the left-handed stick trying to get there. High Class digging in. Chandana with one last surge, but it's the aptly named High Class. High Class by a nose. High Class Chandana, and then I'm the Boss of Me third.
Well, it's due to get one race right in these last 2 days, Mig. It looked like the one here, High Class. Matt Dinnerman called it. She showed a lot of class because I'm the Boss of Me, and Francisco Arrieta took it to her early.
Here you got a 3-year-old filly, late in her 3-year-old year. Obviously, she's a few days away from being 4. But High Class took all the heat from I'm the Boss of Me, a 5-year-old mare by midshipman, and then holds off Chandana, who made this long, sustained kind of run for a 5.5 furlong race. She really kind of kicked it in at the 3/8 ball, but she was the last lady standing. She was like a barroom brawl, and she just would not be beaten.
You know, she got to get pushed under the 3, and then Christian Torres was able to give her a tiny bit of a breather, and it was just enough because this 7's been a heady claim, and a good job by Randy Morris. And Rafael Bejarano come run, and they just ran out of real estate.
They ran out of ground, but this filly kept finding. It seemed to me like anytime she felt the challenge, she was reaching down and finding a bit more. She broke just okay from the rail. Really had to be hustled up to kind of catch her stride under Christian Torres, but this was an extremely game effort.
So Steve Aspen back-to-back with Skelly, and even money in the poinsettia at High Class, Lafitte.
She didn't blast this field. It wasn't a run them off their feet type of effort. Chris High Class took all the pressure from I'm the Boss of Me to her outside, and when she's shrugging off Challenger, and then in the end having to survive another late charge, Chandana diving at her with the wire upcoming, High Class showing a lot of class and grit and determination late.
Yeah, seems like speed's been pretty good. I mean, you know, she ran well. She took a lot of that pressure, but, you know, Topsy kind of surprised me because I thought Topsy was done going into the turn and kind of still rallied on and came back. So maybe High Class was coming back to the field a little bit. Shandana, we talked about that horse going in. Off the claim to be able to run like that, I mean, could open up some options for her because she ran pretty well. Probably won't be in for the tag here anytime soon, or yeah, maybe she will. I don't know. She's been running kind of at these same levels. So Steve Asmussen, though, back-to-back, that's pretty impressive.
Very productive hour for Steve Asmussen at Oaklawn. What else is new? Standing by live with Paul at Oaklawn.
Yeah, real productive hour, Steve. This is a nice little filly here, High Class. And she showed she had to get pushed under the 3-horse here.
Oh, she definitely did. You know, inside draw, 5.5 furlongs, you know, had to use plenty of her. A little bit of an incident with the other horses in the gates, which always concerns you. She broke fine, but not as good as usual. Christian had to use a little of her earlier. Her class showed up late. You know, just very proud of the opportunity to train her for Mr. and Mr. Adam, and what a lovely filly.
And now I want to get back to the last. I don't want to take anything away from the last race, but I know you were grinning from ear to ear with Skelly.
Oh, absolutely. As good as he has run here at Oaklawn, to have him back in the winner's circle where he belongs, you know, it's just wonderful. Got plenty of season ahead of us for him here, and anxious to keep running him.
Well, you got two good runners. Skelly won earlier, could be on the Breeders' Cup Trail, and High Class. Now, what, 3 in a row for Hall of Famer over here, Steve Asmussen.
She's in a groove, 3 straight. Skelly, 6 straight. High Class. You mentioned all those second-place finishes for Christian Torres. There he is, the defending champ in terms of jockeys at Oaklawn, having dominated last season, more than 100 wins. Christian Torres, I'm sure if he was thinking late when he heard the footsteps towards his outside, like, no, not another second. Like, not another second. Where's the wire?
Yeah, and I know Mick's down there, you know, in Hot Springs, and that's got to be one of those things as a jockey, right? As a rider, he sees those 10 seconds too, and so you talk about that reaction and knowing that horse is coming. He gets to the wire first. Maybe this is when the roll starts.
We knew she was fast. We knew she was talented, showing that grit. Steve Asmussen with Skelly in the 8th and High Class in the poinsettia as our coverage continues. 1 left. Final leg of the cross-country pick 5 when we come back. 9 down, 1 left at Oaklawn. Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. As always, coverage brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get started. Oaklawn, where we just saw high class turning for home, took some pressure, was able to shake off the early challengers. And then on the far outside, Chris, here comes the Indiana Red Shandana. Going to make this very interesting late.
I've been on plenty of track aprons. Wire, wire, wire is definitely one of the things that you're saying here, but high class, just gutting it out, and she did the job. I mean, she took the pace pressure. Shandana coming up on her. Wire comes up in time, and you go cash at the windows there. Even money.
Cortland Farm filly, high class, 3 straight. And here at Oaklawn, her Oaklawn debut, taking down the poinsettia. Big effort, though, for Shandana. She didn't win, but a solid bang-up effort.
Absolutely. It leaves a lot of options open there. She got the right trip, got the right pace, just didn't get the wire. Came up just a touch in time here for her to just miss there in a second.
So favorites in the last 2 races, cross-country pick 5. Jonathan Kinchin, the ticket he gave out before we got it all started. He's still alive going into the 10th and final at Oaklawn Park. It's been chalky the last 2. We'll see it happens in race number 10 at Oaklawn. Post time in about 14 minutes. Good allowance race. Field updated odds. $140,000 purse. Allowance races at Oaklawn. Chris, this is the smallest purse you'll see associated. $140,000. Wow.
Yeah, some significant purses there when you take a look at it. And I thought I was going to be clever with the 3 Always Angels and coming up with, that 9-2 and Chris Landeros being aboard here 5-2 because Pate is now floating up in price at 3-1. But I think JK actually liked that 3. So Always Angels is going to be my top pick, and I can give all the reasoning why. But yeah, that 10th race, we'll see what happens.
Tougher than the last 2. No Skelly to lean on or high class here. This wide open 10th and final from Oaklawn. JK, best of luck. Alive in the cross country pick 5. There is Always Angels, the current choice by Derby winner Always Dreaming. Currently 5-2 the favorite. Riders up post parade next from Oaklawn, the nightcap.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
At Keeneland, a horse will always be measured in hands. Hands that see, that sense, that speak. Hands that hold our sport to a higher standard. Not for our sake, but for theirs. For the love of the horse, for generations to come.
Country Grammar, resilient, fighting back, retaking the lead, and it's Country Grammar to win the Hollywood Gold Cup.
Country Grammar getting the upper hand, draws alongside, and Country Grammar with his dates with destiny in front a length and a half. Country Grammar won the Dubai World Cup.
If you walk around the Oaklawn backstretch, you'll notice that the barns don't have numbers. The barns instead are named in honor of horses significant to Oaklawn's rich history.
Here come 2 champions, side by side. Emily Price to the outside and Pansiana right there.
And Senora flies to the lead in the middle of the track. And it's Spotty Jones. What's that? champion Azeri. Here she comes down the middle, and she does it.
40 barns named after 40 important horses, all who helped to contribute to Oaklawn's rich history in their own way.
Curlin is going to decimate this field, winning the Arkansas Derby by 9 lengths.
Time to make some memories.
So many racing greats with compelling storylines and ties to Oaklawn.
Whitmore win time, Whitmore!
You know her.
As Bordenero and Richard Migliori show the way. Junior College is 3/4 of a length back in second. Semaphore Man is tucked in at the rail third. Off Duty is next. Then it's Mock Ride and Rodeo's Castle. Midway on the turn, and it's still Bordenero leading it. Junior College hanging right in there. Off Duty moves up with Semaphore Man. And here they come into the stretch of the Count Fleet Sprint Handicap. Half mile in 45-1. Bordenero leading the way. Junior College wants to challenge him to the outside. Semaphore Man not through along the rail. To the extreme outside. Off Duty is next, a furlong to go. The leader's Bordenero. Semaphore Man's got some courage if he can get through along the inside. It's Bordenero leading it. Semaphore Man trying to test him, but Bordenero's just so tough, and Bordenero's going to win it by half.
I mean, Bordenero was good and everything, Chris, but that one was all about the jockey.
Absolutely. Yeah,
All
I mean,
about the
come on.
jockey.
Richard Migliori, ignore that 2-5. I mean, that's the way that he just kind of, finishes there at the wire. And Bordenero, he knew where the wire wasn't there, and impressive. And the guy that I love, Mig, the Mig, man, I still see some of his efforts to this day.
Richie, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you watch that replay, when you hear that call, Bordenero winning that Count Fleet back in 2007?
Well, the immediate thing is come on, guys, I was getting Miggy with it. That's the first thing. The second thing is just how appreciative I was to Bill Spar and his owners for giving me that opportunity. I got to California. I could still ride. I wasn't the rider I once was, but Bill Spar picking me up, giving me that opportunity, gave a lot of other people confidence to give me rides, and giving me to ride on his best horse, Bordenero, certainly went a long way to getting me off the ground in California.
And you're a little lucky, because I was going to get on you if you'd have let that horse up the inside on you, because you're always talking about don't let that rail. The horse is trying to get up the inside on you there.
I actually thought the rail was dead that day, so I spread it a little bit. Tim Ducey on Semaphore Man comes up my inside. I tightened him up nicely. I didn't do anything wrong. And Semaphore Man, just to give you the quality of that field, came back and won the Count Fleet the next 2 years in a row.
That's actually crazy. And, so you go from now, or from what you just saw, and you're going back to memory lane, and to what we've seen now in 2023, what this racetrack has transformed to, in the package that we just showed.
It's just remarkable, the changes here. The hotel, the casino are beautiful. The track itself, I mean, the improvements have been tremendous. But the one constant, Paul, is the love and celebration of the horse and the sport of racing. It is infectious here. The passion is on display, and that's something I really appreciate.
No, Lafitte, we were talking about this yesterday. The passion of the people, it is a racino. We do have a casino here, and the great part about it is from your casino room, you can see the racetrack. You can walk right down, but the first thing you do see when you come in the racetrack is the paddock. The horses come first here.
The focus on the racing, in that for the Sella family, that's been a point of emphasis. It's not the horse racing first.
Yeah, it's become just a stop for not in the horses, the connections, the bettors for getting involved in that great racing action. You see the bettors right now just along the fence there, and they've got a ton of things that they can do in the area after the races as well. And on a big weekend like this, that would be a great place to spend some time.
Yeah, frustrating day. Maybe the photos didn't go your way. Go axe chucking.
I wouldn't. After a bad day, we go axe chucking.
Get some of the frustration out. Axe chucking, the handicapping, the horses, and the 10th and final from Oaklawn Post Parade. You saw Tyrona. Here's little sister Sue Bejarano just missing in the poinsettia.
Just missing there in the poinsettia. Bejarano aboard here for Jenner Garcia.
Always Angels, the favorite. J.K. singled to this one in the cross-country pick 5.
Thought I was being clever. Second off the layoff, and this horse does stand a big chance, and you get Landeris aboard.
Comset, who's rattled off 2 straight.
Yeah, 2 wins coming into this race, and good work actually coming into it, so not without a chance.
A Missy into mischief for Kelly Von Hemel.
Yeah, he's going to have to run back to some of those efforts. Has had some of that time off, needs a big run.
Fashion Rage, Steve Asmussen looking to sweep the last 3.
It's a few minors, maybe to round out the trifecta, just the horse that I saw best underneath.
8-1. Then Lacey Boss, 19-1 with Kelsey Haar.
Kind of an interesting long shot in there at that 20-1 price. Does have some speed and can get away from the field, but at some of the different tracks.
Pate, unraced since April. Number 9, a Wildwood bye for Scott Becker.
Kept trying to figure out if they want to get back to the fantasy and go 2 turns and kind of get her ready for that, or if she's going to be a sprinter.
Honey Run, the gray, 11-1.
Yeah, you see the Honey Run. Ramsey Zimmerman, another deep closer. Hartman Barn has gone well, though.
The 11, Abby the Bulldog and Louis Quinones.
Yeah, take a look at Quinones. He picked up a big victory, I think, the other day, but he's going to have to run big here on this one.
Milestone at Oaklawn for Quinones. And then number 13, Backyard Money at 5-1 draws in.
Yeah, the coach, Dwayne Lucas, talked about Just Steel. He's got Backyard Money, who does get in off the AE. Has some speed. That can be a little, that can be deceptive. At 5-1 is getting some respect, but faded through the lane the last couple and over 2 at Oaklawn.
Drawn outside. For Dwayne Lucas, that's the field. 10th and final, Oaklawn. Post time 3 minutes. Crunch time. JK singled to Always Angels in this cross-country pick 5. Good luck, my friend.
Thank you. I know, I appreciate it. Yeah, look, I think there was a $40 ticket. We're live for, I think, $314. You know, I don't know. Math is not my favorite subject. But I will say this about Always Angels. A lot of the sense this horse makes to me, right? Like, if you look at what this horse did as a 3-year-old, earlier in the 3-year-old year, it was a lot of really, kind of progressive-looking races. The figures weren't quite where you wanted them to be. But this horse comes back in December, right around the corner, 30 days away from basically being a 4-year-old, and then runs a big number that does give you the confidence here. So you can ask yourself, well, like I said earlier in the show, do you trust that big number? Do you trust that number? Where did it come from? Well, for me, it's pretty obvious it came from maturity. This horse had some time off, got to kind of grow up a little bit, and ran extremely well. And I'm hoping that Always Angels will then come back and continue to improve off of that effort. And look, it's one of my favorite things to do in the last leg of a multi-race bet is the single, because if you can get alive to a little bit of a score, you've got some options if you want to maybe bet another horse to win that you think is a little bit dangerous. I'm going to ride with Always Angels. Richie, Paul?
Well, we're rooting for you. Obviously, JK, to get the cross-country home. It's be a nice little cross-country. Even though you get a couple favorites home, not a bad payout, too, as well. And he's on the 3 in here. Who's a logical horse in here, Mig?
Yeah, logical horse. Get Chris Landaros has been riding well. Yeah. And one thing, when I talk about riders, confidence is so important for any athlete, as you well know, Paul, right? And I talked about Julian Leperoux earlier. He, I think, really struggled for a little while with his confidence. His skills didn't deteriorate. His belief in his skills maybe was a little bit in question. And I see his confidence level come, and I feel the same way about Chris Landaros. I think Chris is just really, really confident right now. He's such a strong finisher, and Always Angels looks like a major, major player.
Yeah, and, this horse is getting bet, obviously. The outside horse, the 13, draws in. Backyard Money for Dwayne Lucas. Kind of don't know what to do with this horse, to be honest with you. A horse that's run okay, but a horse that, 9-2 outside in the 13 hole. I thought there was other horse in here, but Backyard Money did show speed last time. Has it race over the racetrack? Maybe the horse getting played?
Yeah, wasn't far behind Always Angels, and make some sense. Gets kind of the run of the race from the outside under Nick Juarez. You can never count out the coach, Dwayne Lucas. It's been really cool being here with you, Paul, and I always enjoy working with you. But you know what I thought was really neat? Yesterday we got to see a big milestone, Luis Quinones getting his 4,000th career win. And then earlier today, Joey Belmere getting his very first win of his career. So it's really neat to see, one rider starting out, another rider hitting a milestone like 4,000.
I know you were pumped about that. Joey Belmere, he got the old bath of water and powder and shaving cream. We've all done it when every guy's got first hits and first wins. And when was your first win, and did you get doused?
So I won my first race at the Meadowlands, and they went to get me. And back then it was a little more medieval. It wasn't just powder and shaving cream and stuff. And I said, no, I already won a race in New York. And then a couple days later, I won a race in New York, and they went to get me. And I already won at the Meadowlands. They never got me.
Well, You know, I think, to be honest with you, if I was going to make a bet in this race, I like the 4. I think Comset's in very good form. I think this horse can get to the front end. I think the 3, Little Sister Sue's also a player. Listen, the 6 is the overlay in here, not getting play. You were talking about Fashion Rage for Steve Aspen, looking for a natural hat trick as a trainer.
Natural hat trick, and this one with his son Keith Asmussen, who I've been so impressed with because he never had the opportunity to ride with the apprentice allowance. He couldn't make the weight and take advantage of that. Reason riders are given that apprentice allowance is they're going to make mistakes. They got to get experience. He's developed and improved without ever having that opportunity. And I really think that's underestimated here. I think that it means a lot that he's been able to kind of ride through that without ever being actually an apprentice rider. And listen, we have to say it. Rocco Bowen went by us on the 1.
Rocco Bowen went by us on the 1, and I always shout out, Rocco! And he's one of my favorites. And he said, you better look. And then I said, what? He said, you better take a look. So the 1 here, Kim Poole and Rocco, and Kim has pulled one over. They pulled a couple over last year at about 30-1. Maybe the 1 put in your super at 42-1.
42-1. He seemed pretty confident there. And when you went, hey, Rocco, I was thinking that was like when I was a kid in Brooklyn from the fire escape. Yo, Rocco, I'll be right down.
Lafitte. By the way, Mig come running in here. I think we saw Shohei Ohtani. He's throwing hatchets in there, getting ready for the season.
He's the modern day Babe Ruth. It makes too much sense.
It's good to know the boys are down there listening to every word we're saying. Axe chucking and Shohei Ohtani.
Professionals.
Of course. Let me talk about the 13 for a moment. Backyard money when you talk about this horse with that outside draw. This horse has shown speed. Also, comes off the inside. Broke from the 2-post position last time, now gets that outside draw. We like the horses rounding into form a little bit. Dwayne Lucas has been over 15 to start with the meet, but takes a nice shot there with his runner, the Smarty Jones and Just Steel. And now a horse like this that probably has a little bit more of a tactical advantage, being able to dictate things from the outside draw versus the inside. Nick Juarez has done some nice work on the front end, and with that's Backyard Money, and Pate is the horse we're going to take a look at now. And when you take a look at Pate, like I said, what are they looking to do? You start to try and get into the trainers' heads and try to get to the connections of what they're thinking. Ricardo Santana Jr., we've seen him have a decent day. But is Pate going to go back to sprinting like we saw in the Dixie Belle and that muddy effort in second beat the neck? Or, were they taking that shot in the grade 3 fantasy and Rodolphe Brissett says, okay, we're going to look at these 2-turn races and this is what's going to be her future moving forward. I liked Marco in a bubble bath 1 race earlier. She beat Always Angels and Backyard Money. If I really like a horse there, outside of it, going out of the front of the gate and maybe that changing things up a little bit, however you feel about that, I have to like both of these runners. And if Backyard Money has a front end advantage where I think speed is holding a little bit better, maybe I side more with the 13, but obviously I want JK to get there and get it home here with that single. I think Always Angels, Landeros ending up there, not riding for Hartman in here. I thought that was kind of an interesting decision too, because he's been hitting at 50%, and now you go ride the 3 for John Ortiz, who won with the big long shot when Mig was sitting up here. So I don't know. It's tough. At 3 or 13, I think 13 has that tactical advantage.
Wide open. Jonathan single to Always Angels. Best of luck. Cross country pick 5. Always Angels, the favorite last we checked. Pate, 3-1. First race, as Chris mentioned, since chasing the likes of Wet Paint in last spring's Fantasy. What will she do in her comeback? One final time, Matt Dinnerman with a call. Race 10 live from Oaklawn on Fox Sports 2.
Abby the Bulldog. 2 back, Backyard Money. And Fashion Rage. Fashion Rage goes in, and Backyard Money to round out the field. We're ready to go. And Leroff in the finale. Good beginning for pretty much all the runners. Comes set out alertly and goes to the front. Missy into Mischief in the pink colors has speed. Brickyard Money is there. Backyard Money is moving up. Backyard Money a neck behind Comset, who leads the way. Missy into Mischief right between them, not far off, eases off the top pair as Backyard Money kicks to a neck lead, a half length, make it 3/4 of a length. Now a length on Comset second, a space of 2.5 to Missy into Mischief. Then Always Angels, Fashion Rage, Wildwood by, and Honey Run the Gray is 3 deep as they round the far turn. She's making a move. move. Another length to Pate, who's underway. She's 7 behind in the lime green cap. Passing runners, passing both Always Angels, who's given way to midfield with Tyrona. Lacey Boss is next, and then little sister Sue. Abby the Bulldogs, the trailer as they come off the turn. Backyard Money and Nick Juarez lead the pack. Backyard Money 2.5 ahead. Honey Run chasing with determination. Pate continues to grind away on the grandstand side. Backyard Money approaching the 16th pole. Now 4 clear. She spurts away, and she ran them off their feet. Backyard Money for the coach, Dwayne Lucas, strolling in. Pate was second home. Honey Run third. And Always Angels rallies up to complete the superfecta spot in the nightcap at Oaklawn today.
Well, Backyard Money draws in here, Mig, and the race was over. I mean, you know, Nikki Juarez had a hold of this horse, and Comset, the horse I like, got to the front end and disposed of that runner and disposed of this field.
But you know the key to it was that Nick Juarez used that outside post so well to his advantage, because Backyard Money has speed, but it gave him the first eighth of a mile to let this horse kind of really find her best stride before he opened his hands, allowed her to drop over and not be caught wide. That's the beauty of having a horse with natural speed and outside post and ridden to perfection by Nick Juarez. Hey, Rocco Bowen gave us a little bit of a thrill. I think he wound up 5th there.
He did. The 1 started rolling late. The 10 ran a bang-up race. Honey Run was the only one really running on at all in here. The 8, it looked like the 8 ran second here. I apologize. The 10 was third. Ew, Rocco got up for like 5th flying. If they get to 3, gets up for 4th here.
And Always Angels looked a bit uncomfortable in between horses.
Yeah.
Chris Landeros kind of extricated her from in between them and tried to get in the clear, but then another horse got first run on the outside. She just never looked like she was traveling as comfortably in between horses.
Well, Lafitte, you got to end the day with a little Babe Ruth, Shohei Ohtani, and the real legend of horse racing, Mr. Dwayne Lucas.
Wayne Lucas, owner, trainer. And Richie getting Miggy with it.
Yeah.
Out there. That's number one on the highlight reel.
All the bases, if you will, here on the show. I mean, really. And Rocco Bowen was pretty far outside.
Yeah.
But as he was watching, I mean, he might have been close enough for Paul and Mig to kind of yell at him, like, "Were you watching?"
I was going to say, what did he say the second time?
I almost got there, guys. But you know, from a handicapping standpoint, speed was holding up well. Take that into your handicapping tomorrow. I think it's going to be fairly dry, right? Dry conditions and nice weather, so we'll see if that speed kind of trend does continue.
Those famed colors, Wayne Lucas, Landalus, the first for me that comes to mind. Backyard Money here from that outside post, Nick Juarez. The wild finish as far as these bigger fields that we've seen at Oaklawn. As a track announcer, do you have a preference one way or the other? Small field, big field? What is it in terms of preparation, and do you have a preference?
Whoa, I think I don't want to speak for every track announcer, but a short field, you have to start getting into your educational background and the ability to start saying things that can fill the empty gaps. Because when you get those 5-6 horse fields, you can only tell the audience so many times, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you know? You kind of want to run through that field and go through that progression, and you kind of try to develop those skills and really build that type of technique, I guess, and mechanics. So for me, I prefer that mid-range or bigger field, because you got to go through those names. When you're getting the colors ready and the markers and whatnot, if you're on a little bit of a shorter post, like if they're kind of going straight to the track or something like that with tough weather, it's a little bit tougher.
Do you have, like, in 15 seconds, what's a pet peeve of yours getting ready to call a race? Like, oh no, I got to deal with this?
House silks it can be an interesting one when you start thinking about something else, and yeah, sometimes those entries can be tough as well.
Just curious. It's fascinating. In case you haven't called a race, turn the volume on and try to do it. Not as easy as guys like Chris Griffin make it sound, or Matt Dinneman out at Oaklawn. Backyard Money strikes for the coach.
Drain the Clock will win, and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bay Short. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stevens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.
Adelphi Racing Club offers the unparalleled excitement of owning thoroughbred racehorses at a fraction of the cost. We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Our New York-based high-performing equine athletes, trainers, and jockeys compete and win at the highest level circuits. Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
The morning of the 149th Kentucky Derby started out with great disappointment for Hillendale owner John Secura.
The favorite is out. Announced this morning, Forte will not compete in the Kentucky Derby.
Well, I was pouting when the Derby was run. I had a great box, and I was going to the races, and Forte was scratched, and my children were going, we're in the sort of throes of the breeding season. I said, I just watch it at home.
They're in the gates.
Not that I didn't think Mage had a chance to win. I thought he did.
Entering the backstretch run, Mage's 15th.
The drive to Churchill is an easy one when you win. It's a long one when you get beat.
But there's one furlong to go. Two Phil's fights on, but Mage has taken the lead.
Was jumping up and down.
Time is running out to catch Mage.
There was nobody here to see my antics.
Mage digs down deep, urged onto the wire to win the Derby.
I just enjoyed and drank in the moment of that achievement, and then the next day we went to the barn and celebrated, and Barbara Banky came over and felt a deep personal and equine connection. She's been such a great partner. We've had great luck together, and we enjoyed the moment of seeing Good Magic basking in the glory of the afterglow winning the Derby, and Curlin was right next to him. It was almost like he looked over and said, "Good job, son, you've got a long way to go, but keep it going." Similarity I see when I see them next to each other is today's legacy and the future legacy.
Curlin and Good Magic, arguably sport's most formidable father and son team.
That's really a separating point on most sires. When you can sire Grade 1 winners and horses that compete at the highest level of racing, that's what breeders are really looking for. It's very hard to do. That genetic switch is either on or off, and when it's on at the highest level, like Curlin and now Good Magic, it's really the epitome of what you could expect from a stallion.
Vicious 1-2 punch, like Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani hitting back-to-back at the top of the Dodgers lineup. You thought that was the last Ohtani reference? We have 5 minutes left in the show. We might slip in a couple more. America's Day at the Races. Here on Fox Sports 2 in those Lucas colors, Wayne Lucas, four-time Kentucky Derby winning trainer, the legend, the coach, the man who revolutionized the art of training the thoroughbred. Here with a win in the 10th and final, turning for home with the lead, and Backyard Money able to fend off all challengers.
Yeah, we talked about the start of the meet there for Christian Torres. We talked about him with those 10 seconds. You saw the coach, Dwayne Lucas, kind of 0 for 15 to start, but now starts to get into the winner's circle. Things start to turn around. Maybe the barn starts to round into that form. Backyard Money with that front-end speed. And speed may be good here going into the next couple days.
Daylight win, impressive. A third overall for Backyard Money. Nick Juarez for the coach, 13-8, 10-3. The cross-country pick 5. Popular wager, you have the multiple tracks going. And in the end, 566 and change. Congratulations if you were able to wire those winners together. Cross-country pick 5 will do it all over again tomorrow. Thanks for spending part of your New Year's weekend with us, and an exciting historic day, specifically here at Aqueduct, with Linda Rice, the big story, and her 134th win this year at a NYRA track, equaling a record.
164.
164.
164.
I've been on 3.5 hours.
No, that's okay. You've been doing a lot of heavy lifting, but yeah, 164. She's got a big shot tomorrow, so 165 should be right there. Hopefully, I got to start writing some stuff down. Get ready for it.
Linda Rice, congratulations. See if she can break that record tomorrow, right here at Aqueduct. Thanks so much for joining us. Earlier, where we watched leading contender Manny Franco, leading rider at the fall meet for trainer Chad Brown, impressive in the 6th race here at Aqueduct, and in the feature with high class on the inside, able to hold off in a productive hour for Steve Asmussen, the successful return of Skelly, and high class in the poinsettia. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. New Year's Eve coverage right here on America's Day at the Races.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
War Saichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
War Saichi has scampered well clear. War Saichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.